Chapter 954. Acknowledging smiling, San Sheng as a master. Continue reading on. Within 2 days, Lian Xin arrived with 300 high-grade spirit herbs. She said that she had some high-grade spirit herb seeds and hoped Jiang Hao could help grow them. However, they were all useless. Jiang Hao checked them. It would take him more than 10 days to appraise them all. Bai Yi had a lot of influence. He could gather so many spirit herb seeds so quickly. There were a lot of bottles of spirit liquid and spirit stones with the seeds. From the looks of it, Bai Yi was trying really hard. He must have given up on his grudges against Jiang Hao. That was good. After all, it was very troublesome to get rid of someone like Bai Yi who had made great contributions to the sect. The other party was a great disciple. He wouldn't have used the spirit sealing technique if it was that easy. Thank you, senior sister. I will try my best to plant them well, Jiang Hao said seriously. Junior brother, there's no need to feel pressured. Moreover, your cultivation has already surpassed mine. There's no need to be so polite, Lian Xin said. Jiang Hao's cultivation realm was rising too fast. She couldn't understand it. Only the top disciples progressed this fast. The ones ranking high were extraordinary. Lian Xin could understand why senior brother Bai Yi was so fearful. This person advanced too quickly. If everything went smoothly, he would soon be in the primordial spirit realm. How many years had it been? You must be joking, senior sister. Jiang Hao shook his head. He would address her as a senior, no matter what cultivation realm she was. She had always addressed her as a senior. He couldn't suddenly change now. If his junior asked him to address him as a senior after rising in the cultivation realm, he would do so. After all, it was a demonic sect. A higher cultivation realm meant a higher status. Junior brother, if you need spirit herbs in the future, you can tell me. Our 100 Bones forest has many spirit herbs that need to be planted, said Lian Xin with a smile. Jiang Hao was kind of hard to understand. His cultivation realm rose rapidly, but there was no change in his attitude. Many people couldn't do that. After seeing her off, Jiang Hao appraised the spirit herb seeds. Half a month later, around early November, he had divided the seeds into 3 categories. One batch could sprout in 4 months, another in 5 months, and the last batch would take 6 months. Each batch had almost 100 spirit herbs. The time it would take for them to germinate was different. However, these spirit herb seeds cost a lot of spirit stones. Even though senior sister Lian had given him enough, he still needed 50,000 spirit stones more. After using the rest from his stash, he only had 210,000 spirit stones left. That was still too much. 2 months later, around early January, Shangguan Qingsu arrived overseas. She walked into the Great Hall. She had been back for 2 months and wanted to contact smiling San Sheng, but he never showed up. She had to discuss it with her clan first. This matter was very big. It was so big that it concerned the fate of an entire clan. At that moment, Shangguan Qiqing was sitting at the top of the hall. He looked at the person who came in with some doubt. Do you still suspect me? Shangguan Qingsu asked. You said that you have a way to contact the person, but the only one I see here is you. How can we believe you? Shangguan Qiqing asked. He was old and had to be careful. The Shangguan clan was no longer strong, and slight recklessness could endanger them all. Everyone was treading on thin ice. Do you want to cooperate with him? Shangguan Qingsu asked. Before she came back, she had told him everything. She had found smiling San Sheng and the way to suppress the curse. However, the conditions he had set were quite high. Cooperate. Shangguan Qiqing chuckled. You haven't made it clear yet. How are we supposed to cooperate with him? We will have to follow his orders. Shangguan Qingsu looked at the person at the top. As long as we agree, he will suppress the curse forever. But if we betray him, shut up. Before Shangguan Qingsu could finish speaking, several auras erupted from above. Shangguan Qingsu sneered. There are many people hiding in the dark. Shangguan Qingsu, do you know what you are saying? Shangguan Qiqing asked angrily. What's wrong? Are you angry because of your low self-esteem? Shangguan Qingsu chuckled. Then, why don't you attack me directly? If the Shangguan clan is exterminated by the curse, we would have no one left no matter who we follow. Do you want to negotiate the conditions? Don't you want to survive? Shangguan Qingsu's voice got louder. Shangguan Qiqing looked at the woman standing below. Finally, he said, Why? Why do you want to disrespect your clan? Ha ha ha. Shangguan Qingsu laughed. You're one to talk about respect. Where was this respect when my parents begged you? Why did you humiliate them? Was it not enough that they were already at death's door? Did you have to humiliate them? Shangguan Qiqing was silent. We'll not be his slaves. You tell him that. Then, we agreed to follow his orders from now on, said Shangguan Qingsu. She looked as if she didn't care if he didn't want to. Follow his orders? What's the difference between that and being his slave? The difference is that he will suppress your curse. If you are unwilling, you can always refuse and go back to how you were, said Shangguan Qingsu. That is, what do you have that you can offer him instead? He is a person who can rid our whole clan of our curse. What do you have that you can offer him? Will you offer him some useless spirit beasts? Or maybe some low-quality mines? Are you going to throw away this opportunity for your worthless pride? Shangguan Qingsu's words left everyone shaken. They didn't know what to say. We can't ever disobey him, someone asked from the dark. Yes, we have to do what he tells us, said Shangguan Qingsu. What's the difference between that and acknowledging him as our master? Asked an old man. Well, you have 3 choices. 1, we become slaves. 2, we negotiate to live as a clan, but obey his orders. 3, live as we are with the curse, said Shangguan Qingsu. You don't want to endure the 100 Nights curse forever, but you're also unwilling to pay the price to get rid of it. Will you get another opportunity like this? Who do you think we are? You. The old man was furious. However, no one cared about him. If we agree to cooperate with him, can we still question his orders if they are unreasonable? Shangguan Qiqing asked. Yes, but he might not respond immediately, said Shangguan Qingsu. If we refuse him even once, does that mean our agreement will be over? Yes. I want 3 chances to refuse. We haven't even agreed, and you already want a loophole? After every 3 tasks, we will be given a choice to refuse. 10. Also, he has the right to end the cooperation if we refuse. All right, but I hope that he can have an open conversation with us before he refuses cooperation, said Shangguan Qiqing. We need to discuss everything before we agree to work together. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 9:55. Ascending to Immortality. Continue reading on. Shangguan Qingsu looked at the person seated above. She was not afraid. She had prepared for this for a very long time. To fulfill the conditions of smiling Sansheng, she had tried her best. She stated the conditions for the Shangguan clan to get along with smiling Sansheng. It was almost equivalent to death for them. Even if they survived, there was no hope for them. The Shangguan clan would definitely refuse the deal. But they had waited for this opportunity for countless years. If they missed it, it would be as good as death. She had to convince them somehow. At least, they would be free of the curse and could decide when to end the cooperation in the future. After some thought, the Shangguan clan agreed to smiling Sansheng's terms. They had no other choice. Shangguan Qingsu had successfully completed her task. I wonder if smiling Sansheng will be happy with this. Shangguan Qingsu was a little worried. She did her best, but if he wasn't happy with it, he would just turn around and leave. In the end, the Shangguan clan would still have to nod their heads and go along with him. She was waiting for smiling Sansheng to come and tell her the details. It would be best if he was happy with the arrangement. If he wasn't, then it would be an entirely other problem, and the Shangguan clan would find out that they weren't as valuable as they thought they were. They had no other choice. Shangguan Qingsu returned to her house. She had placed the ring in the secret room. The magic treasure had been activated, but no matter what she did, he could not communicate with it. She had no choice but to wait. Shangguan Qingsu was a little anxious. She wasn't sure if smiling Sansheng could see or hear her. If he didn't contact her, it might mean he didn't agree with the deal. She was a little worried. She sighed wearily and decided to wait a bit longer. In the south, Jianghao was taking care of the spirit herbs in the Heavenly Notes sect. Although Shangguan Qingsu had already arrived overseas, her negotiation could take some time. His request had been excessive, to say the least. The Shangwan clan would try to negotiate the terms. In this process, they had to weigh the pros and cons. It would take a long time for the clan to settle this matter. Therefore, it might take a few months more to reach the end of the deal. However, he had to get there before the curse took effect. That way, they would see how useful he was and would have an easier time accepting his terms. The pain of the curse might remind them why the deal was worth agreeing to. Jiang Hao would have to be there before the end of April. The spirit herb seeds would start to bloom in 2 months, so there was still time. He planned to visit the Lawless Tower before heading overseas. The Lantern Bearer knew about the Great Thousand God Sects plan, so he wanted to see if anything more would happen. At the Lawless Tower, when Jiang Hao arrived, he discovered that they were preparing for something. Junior brother Jiang, you didn't receive the news? Insha smiled at him in confusion. What? Jiang Hao was puzzled. The Astronomical Academy of the West has obtained a wordless heavenly book and has invited all the sects to check it out. Our sect is also among them. They are preparing to send someone over. The Lawless Tower will also send someone, Insha said. Wordless heavenly book. Jiang Hao hadn't received any news like that. However, he suddenly thought of someone. Mangu, his wife and son were in the Astronomical Academy. The people going there, will they all be seniors of the tower? Jiang Hao asked. The list was drawn up by Sect Master Baiji. There are all kinds of people on it. Speaking of which, Mangu is one of them. Although his cultivation realm is recovering, he is still a little weak. However, he is familiar with the West. He was from there originally, so he's being sent with the group, said Insha. Jiang Hao nodded. He's from the Great Thousand God Sect, he said. Will he be targeted? Senior sister Insha smiled, but didn't say anything. She only said that it was confidential, and she couldn't say anything about it. Jiang Hao understood what she was saying. They were trying to use him as bait. It was expected of the Heavenly Notes sect. He just didn't know if Mangu would be willing to do it. He saw that Mangu was busy. Mangu saw Jiang Hao and bowed gratefully. At that moment, he seemed to be more eager than ever. It seems that he is finally happy. Jiang Hao thought. No one knew what the wordless heavenly book of the West was. Jiang Hao wouldn't go anyway. As for the details, he could wait for the sect to inform him or ask Zhang at the gathering. The people on the 5th floor were the same as always. There was Zhuang Yuzhen, Heavenly King Hai Luo, Mi Lingyue, the Lantern Bearer, and Old Man Corpse C. Old Man Corpse C had recovered a lot, and he was curious about Jiang Hao. This was the person with the lowest cultivation realm among all the people he had seen who could enter and leave freely. Moreover, he was from the others. Everyone was very quiet. Junior brother Jiang, said the Lantern Bearer. Yes, it's me. How are you fitting in, senior? Jiang Hao asked. I'm used to it. I have to say that this place is really amazing. The Lantern Bearer smiled. Junior brother Jiang, did you come with a mission this time? Are you going to interrogate me? No. Jiang Hao shook his head. The sect had already caught the person related to Feng Hua, so they were not in a hurry to get more information. However, he wasn't sure where Bing Qing was. She seemed to have been sent to the mines. He could go and check it out later. After all, she had become friends with the spirit beast. Have you been overseas recently? If you do, remember to stay away from the Dragon Cave, said the Lantern Bearer. The Great Thousand God Sects plan includes many things. Those who know it might not be watching. The Great Thousand God Sect has been planning this for a long time, right? Mi Lingyue asked. Yes, and very few people know about it. It will be difficult for people to escape. After all, that is the real Dragon Cave. Many people are confident ITLL work. Many people will enter the Dragon Cave even though it's a trap, said the Lantern Bearer. The Great Thousand God Sect doesn't fear other major powers fighting them. Mi Lingyue asked. ITLL be a long time before people realize it's a trap. When there are benefits, people tend to betray each other. They might cooperate with that sect for the benefits. The Great Thousand God Sect is very smart. They will definitely find someone else to enter and become the center of attention. Maybe the end of all things. As long as the cave has something harmful to end all humanity, the end of all things will agree with them. Jiang Hao walked to Zhuang Yuzhen and handed him some wine and beef jerky. He had to be extremely careful if he went to the Dragon Cave. He hoped that he could advance before entering it. He would then be able to protect himself. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 956. Resplendent smiling, San Sheng, continue, reading on around late April. On a remote island overseas, a figure appeared in a secret chamber in the depths of the mountains. It was a man. He was in his early 20s. He emitted divine light. He looked around with some interest. It was Jiang Hao. He had talked with those people in the Lawless Tower for a long time. Most of them talked about the Great Thousand God sect. The trap in the Dragon Cave was not as simple as others thought. Even if people knew it was a trap, they would go because they were greedy. Jiang Hao had no choice but to go too. He just had to be more careful. At that time, Hong Yuye would be there with him. He didn't know what they would be facing. He was here for the Shangguan clan. This was where Shangguan Qingsu had placed the golden ring. He hesitated and decided not to take the golden ring. He would wait until he knew the Shangguan clan's plan. He looked at his interface. Name, Jiang Hao. Age, 42. Cultivation, peak of the Immortal Ascension platform. Cultivation method, Heavenly Sound 100 revolutions. Hong Meng Heart Sutra, divine ability. 9 revolutions death substitution. Unique, daily appraisal, clear and pure heart. Reappearance of hidden spirit, divine might. Revival of withered tree. Heavenly cauldron, indestructible Vajra. Myriad nature forest. Lifeblood, 2/100 cannot be cultivated. Cultivation, 1/100 cannot be cultivated. Divine abilities, 0/3 cannot be obtained. He was at the peak of the Immortal Ascension platform at 42 years old. There were no more bubbles. It would be much harder to ascend after this. He could only hope the divine item Xing had mentioned could give him some bubbles. Who knew when he could advance further? After ascending to immortality, there were 9 steps to complete. He did not know how long it would take for him to reach the 9th stage. The heavenly fragrance Dao flower would take 15 days to spawn a bubble. He could only get 2 bubbles in a month. It would take about 4 years for him to advance. It would take 32 years to complete the Immortal Ascension platform. Would he be nearly 100 years old by then? Looks like a long journey. Jiang Hao sighed. He was already 42 years old. He wasn't young anymore. He had almost given up on the idea of visiting cities in the Hidden Cloud Prefecture to look for his family. They were at least 60 years old. In the cultivation world, it was difficult for ordinary people to live long. These thoughts flashed through his mind. Jiang Hao walked out of the secret chamber. He headed straight for the mountain peak outside. He transformed into smiling San Sheng. He used heavenly secrets, hidden talismans. Hong Ye wasn't with him this time, so he needed to conceal his power. Fortunately, he could hide for 10 days. He only needed to wait for 10 days, and he could continue to use concealment talismans. The talisman senior sister Lung Tian gave him was really useful. He didn't really use the clone talisman. It had been a long time since he had seen senior sister Lung Tian. After a while, Jiang Hao arrived at the peak of the mountain. Shangguan Qingsu looked conflicted. She had been waiting. The people of the Shangguan clan were in a hurry and were pushing her to go through with it soon because the curse was about to manifest. What are you thinking about? A sudden voice interrupted her thoughts. She turned around and realized that someone was standing behind him. He looked calm with the fan in his hand, but his presence was still immense. It was powerful. It was strange. It was as if he had gotten stronger. How is this possible? It had only been 2 years since she last saw him. Fellow disciple, smiling, San Sheng. Shangguan Qingsu asked. She was a little worried that this person might not be the same as the one she had met before. That's me. Don't be too surprised, he said. So, done with the agreement? It would be better if they didn't agree with him. He did not intend to do too much with the Shangguan clan. He just wanted to make use of them every once in a while. After that, they would part on good terms. He did not want them to do much for him. It's done, said Shangguan Qingsu. She hesitated. It's just that it didn't go exactly as you wanted. Jiang Hao was secretly delighted. That was even better. Even if they just paid him some spirit stones, he would still help them. but he couldn't say it in the beginning. If he set the bar too low, they would think his help came cheap. He needed them to feel they had gained a lot by getting him to agree to help them. Tell me what happened. Jiang Hao smiled. The Shangguan clan has agreed to follow your orders, but they have a condition. They said they would agree to your orders 10 times. After that, they can refuse you once. At that time, you would also have the right to refuse to help the clan. Shangguan Qingsu lowered her head dejectedly. I'm sorry for my incompetence. If you can wait a bit, I can go and negotiate with them again. Jiang Hao was a little surprised, but he remained calm. How was this possible? Agreeing to his terms would mean risking their lives for him. He had expected them to refuse entirely. One more thing. To convince them, I told them that we could cancel this arrangement at any time. And if we agree, you have to be sincere about it too, senior, she said. Jiang Hao was silent. When they experienced the curse disappear, they wouldn't want to go back to how they were. So, they would follow him to keep the curse at bay anyway. Go on, Jiang Hao said. He finally understood that the problem was that Shangguan Qingsu had used some tricks. She was smart. It was a bit troublesome, but Jiang Hao had no intention of taking the whole clan in. Let's go and meet your clan's leader, said Jiang Hao. After she told him the location, he disappeared on the spot. It was as if he had fused with the air. He was as bright as the sun. Shangguan Qingsu was certain that she was definitely not a match for the person in front of her. No one in the Shangguan clan could fight with him. How was that possible? No matter how talented a person was, they couldn't become so powerful in such a short time. From what she knew, Smiling Sansheng was supposed to be at the return to Void Realm. The Shangguan clan was also worried. Shangguan Qingsu was concerned about what all of this might lead to. Shangguan Qiqing, in contrast, was worried that this person would refuse to meet them. If that happened, they would have to lower their conditions to make him agree. Their clan really could not withstand the curse anymore. He was also concerned that the person might just be pulling their leg and that he might not really have the ability to get rid of the curse. It sounded impossible. All these concerns made him restless. It was only when he heard that Shangguan Qingsu was coming to the hall with another person that he heaved a sigh of relief. He wanted to see if this person could really do what he promised. He thought that he had the upper hand while talking with the person. He would exert his dominance and talk to him with authority. However, the moment he saw the person who was as resplendent as the sun, he lost all confidence. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 957. Selection for top disciples. Continue reading on in the main hall of the Shangguan clan. Jiang Hao stood in the center. The people around him didn't dare to sit down. Even Shangguan Qiqing only dared to stand in front of him and speak with his head lowered. Everyone was terrified of the person at the front. Jiang Hao remained calm. The people looked at him in admiration. Fellow disciple, please take a seat. Shangguan Qiqing gestured to him. He let Jiang Hao sit at the top. Shangguan Qingsu was shocked. He didn't seem so smug anymore. It was the first time she had seen Shangguan Qiqing so humble, and she was filled with many emotions. When she was young, Shangguan Qiqing had been stubborn and intimidating. But at that moment, he lowered his head and didn't dare to speak too loudly. People aged like that. It sometimes seemed like just an instant. Jiang Hao was posing as Smiling Sansheng, so he obviously wasn't very polite. He walked to the top step by step, then turned around and sat down. I've already stated my condition. Now, tell me yours. Of course, I heard it, but I want you to say it again. He was fearless. Shangguan Qiqing broke out in a cold sweat. He was under a lot of pressure as a leader. He was the spokesperson, so he had to bear the burden. Then, I will repeat myself, Shangguan Qiqing said carefully. We agree to obey your orders, but we hope to have a chance to choose what to do after 10 tasks. But if you want anything else, we could discuss it. I hope you can understand. After that, Shangguan Qiqing stopped talking. Jiang Hao frowned. Just that? I thought they wanted to say that they can end the deal whenever they want. Jiang Hao sighed inwardly. Just like what you said before, we can cancel the cooperation at any time. Everyone will have a choice. Do you have further doubts? Shangguan Qingsu sighed. She realized something. This could cancel the cooperation at any time, but that would be a loss for the Shangwan clan. The Shangwan clan would be giving up on an opportunity that was tied completely to this arrangement. Who would regret this cooperation? Only time would tell. We want to test if you really have the ability to suppress the curse, Shangwan Qiqing said. This was what everyone cared about. If it didn't work, then everything was just empty promises. However, Shangwan Qiqing did not dare to make any elaborate requests. The other party had mentioned that they could end this cooperation at any time, which surprised him, but made him a little worried. The more others looked down on his clan, the more he felt threatened. How many days are left for it to manifest? Jiang Hao asked. It was logical to ask for a test, and he wanted to show off. If not, how would he convince an entire clan to listen to him? However, he had to inform Gue about the situation and force Gu Changsheng to compromise. Suppressing Gu Changsheng was his main goal. There are still 6 days left, Shangwan Qiqing said. Jiang Hao nodded. Then a scroll flew out from his hand. Find a hidden place and set up a formation according to the requirements. 10 of you can enter the formation to experience its effects. We can discuss further plans later. We'll be back on the 6th day. I hope you'll be ready then, Jiang Hao said after the other party had gotten the scroll. After he finished, he disappeared and left everyone astonished. Jiang Hao appeared in the courtyard and reverted to his original self. He heaved a sigh of relief. The Shangwan clan surprised him. At the same time, he knew how much damage the curse had done to their clan. All he had to do was wait for the right time. The array formation was easy to set up. Any idiot could set it up. As for where they would set it up, it was unknown. The Shangwan clan is not very strong. Their people are all on the decline. Jiang Hao had looked at them closely. There was no one who could ascend to immortality. It was like there was a ceiling they couldn't break. No one knew if they would really fight. After all, the Shangwan clan had a lot of resources. He had accepted a mission. He could go out as he pleased for the next 5 months. The main thing was that he had to go out continuously and was not sure if it would be safe. He was going to take a long time, but if he failed, he would have to pay 5,000 spirit stones. He would have to pay about 5,500 spirit stones for taking the job twice, so he took this job. 5 months was enough for him to fight Gu Changsheng. After that, Jiang Hao began to wait. The spirit herb gardens still had 100 more spirit herbs to water. He couldn't stay outside for very long. As for the people heading west, they had already set off. Xiaoli was going too, but when she heard that it was to read some book, she ran away. She took the spirit beast and went into hiding. Ching Chou felt helpless when he found out about this. He tried his best to help her, but junior sister Xiao Li avoided him and everyone else. People were indeed different. However, he did not mind. After all, his luck was already good enough. When Cheng Chou saw Jiang Hao coming to the spirit herb garden, he hurriedly went up and said, "Senior brother Jiang, the sect has released some news." "What is it?" Jiang Hao was puzzled. The sect was still recuperating. If they kept fighting, the sect might face a crisis. "It's news about the top disciple," said Cheng Chou. "The sect is thinking of selecting some disciples who are qualified to challenge the top disciples." Challenge the top disciples? Jiang Hao was surprised. Was the sect trying to provoke the 10 top disciples? They were trying to select people who were powerful enough to challenge them. In that way, only powerful people will be in the top positions. They would be stronger than ever. Before, anyone strong enough to challenge the top disciples could do it. However, now, there will be a screening process before they can challenge the top disciples. They would need to pass the pre-selection before they can challenge the top disciples. In short, it won't be as easy as before, Cheng Chou said. Did they say when one can challenge the top disciples after the preliminaries? Jiang Hao asked. The elimination is held once every 50 years. Those who join later will have to wait for the next elimination. During the elimination period, the challenger can ask for a match every year to challenge the top disciple. Anyone can, said Cheng Chou. Jiang Hao nodded. It was more systematic now, but the pressure on the top disciples had increased. What happens if the challenger loses? Jiang Hao asked curiously. 3 failures, and you'll be kicked out of the qualifiers, Cheng Chou said. Jiang Hao sighed. Every 50 years, he would have 3 chances in exchange for 1 elimination. Should he participate? I also heard that as long as you successfully become a top disciple, you will be received by the sect master. Chung Cho sighed. He had never seen the sect master before. Jiang Hao found it very strange. The sect master might be Elder Baiji. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 958. Meet the Sect Master. Continue reading on. There were many rules for selecting a top disciple. In short, there was a limit to the number of people who could participate in the preliminary selection. Even if the selection was over, the sect disciples who returned from the outside could challenge the person selected in the preliminary to replace them. There were also 3 chances to challenge the top disciple. However, the top disciple had to be free. Otherwise, they couldn't challenge them. I wonder if it's useful to avoid the fight entirely. If they couldn't avoid it, would there be any top disciples left? Jiang Hao didn't know the details, but the qualifiers would start after a while. The elimination process was very simple. 2 people were chosen from each realm. It started from a foundation establishment realm. The slot was open for 8 foundation establishment realm cultivators, 8 golden core realm cultivators, 8 primordial spirit realm cultivators, and 8 soul ascension realm cultivators. If one failed to become the top disciple before reaching the return to void realm, they would not be qualified to compete for the position of top disciple in the future. Furthermore, if they suppressed their cultivation realm to compete, it would be even more difficult for them. Jiang Hao lowered his head and thought, I'm at the peak of the gold core realm. Even if I make it to the elimination round, they'll have to compete with 2 primordial spirit realm cultivators. And someone at the peak of the golden core realm could always be replaced. I feel like I will have to fight people very often. The pre-selection itself was very difficult, let alone the challenge with the top disciple. If one wanted to continue in the pre-selection and finally become a top disciple, one had to win every time. If the disciples in the sect don't participate this time, they will have to wait another 50 years. If the selection takes 2 years, then they will have to wait 52 years. Jiang Hao went to the law enforcement hall to see the new rules. There were also some fellow disciples who were discussing things there. It's fine if you participate. I just don't know what level junior brother Han can reach in 50 years. Han Ming might be in the late stage of the golden core realm at the moment. If he could get guidance from Kendo, he would soon reach the peak of that realm. Would 50 years be enough for him to advance to the peak of the primordial spirit realm? It should be enough. Junior brother Han Ming did have the potential to become a top disciple, but he also had all kinds of other opportunities and the Mountain River Sword embryo. He surpassed others at every level. Maybe primordial spirit realm at 50 years old, soul ascension realm at 100 years old, return to void realm at 200 years old, and immortal ascension platform at 350 years old. Actually, it might be faster than that, but it's also possible that once you're trapped in a certain realm, you might never be able to advance for the rest of your life. Sometimes people remain stuck at one stage and couldn't advance. Junior brother Jiang, are you considering the selection process to compete for the position of top disciple? Lu Xingxin walked over to him. Senior brother Lu. Jiang Hao bowed. Lu Xingxin was currently in the middle stage of the soul ascension realm. The turbid power was disappearing bit by bit. He was worthy of being the Clear Sky School's disciple. He was truly remarkable. Moreover, the 4 soul remnants on his body seemed to be converging and becoming stronger. He did not know if he knew about that. Jiang Hao praised it. Lu Xingxin, disciple of the heavenly faction. He is in the middle stage of the soul ascension realm, born with the aura of a dragon. He is undercover for the law enforcement hall in the Heavenly Notes sect. He was too bored, so he allowed 4 soul remnants to possess his body. With the help of the true dragon's power, the 4 remnants started becoming stronger. He is waiting for them to be strong enough to take over his body. Recently, he has seen you collect blood to follow the blood wish path. He is curious and wants to watch what you do. He hopes for a good show. Jiang Hao was speechless. As his cultivation realm increased, he lived an even quieter life. There was no good show to put on for Lu Xingchen. By the way, did you know that a lifeblood refinement realm cultivator left the cliff of broken hearts? Lu Xingchen asked. Weren't they just talking about the top disciples? What was this about a lifeblood refinement realm cultivator? Jiang Hao was puzzled. I don't know, said Jiang Hao. I heard that particular person is under the surveillance of a law enforcement hall. She's in charge of some seniors and seems to be from the Great Thousand God sect. It doesn't make sense why she suddenly wanted to leave. She might come back. That's why they let her go. Some seniors followed her overseas. They sent news that it was actually someone from the Shangwan clan. They're still paying attention to it at the moment. Jiang Hao was speechless. These people were simply terrifying. Junior brother, do you have any idea what that could be about? Lu Xingchen narrowed his eyes. Jiang Hao shook his head. I feel that the seniors of the law enforcement hall are quite tired. Yes, we had to arrest people everywhere lately, Lu Xingchen said excitedly. That seemed to be true, and Lu Xingchen seemed to have quite enjoyed the show. But why was he keeping an eye on Shangwan Qingsu? It had nothing to do with him. Senior brother, are you going to participate in the preliminary round? Jiang Hao asked curiously. My cultivation realm is a little higher than the required realm, so I won't be participating. Lu Xingchen shook his head. He was already at the middle stage of the Soul Ascension realm, while the ones participating could only be at the early stage of the Soul Ascension realm. He was too strong to participate, and that would be fair. What about you, junior brother? Lu Xingchen asked. I want to try, Jiang Hao said. It is said that the selection will begin at the end of the year. They will start with each branch and then the entire sect. Disciples who enter the elimination round will receive additional resources, Lu Xingchen said. Jiang Hao nodded. The reason why he wanted to enter was to let others know how strong he was, but he didn't want to be a top disciple. The assumption about the blood wish path would continue. He wanted others to know that he was in a hurry to break through. The rest was up to junior brother Hanming. If he became a top disciple, he would be constantly trying to protect his position. Besides, he could be replaced in the pre-selection round at any time. To make it to the pre-selection round or the position of a top disciple, there were 3 requirements. One had to be young, talented, and strongest among those of the same rank. After bidding farewell to Lu Xingchen, Jiang Hao returned to the Cliff of Broken Hearts. At that time, the registration had already begun. Senior brother Bai Yi brought his men to register. Jiang Hao walked over to them. Junior brother Jiang, you want to participate? Bai Yi asked Jiang Hao with a smile. Yes. Jiang Hao nodded. In the end, he did it. His goal was to become a top disciple. He didn't care about meeting the sect master, though. The name written on the contract referred to someone as the Heavenly Note Witch. It was most likely that it was Elder Baiji. It was obvious that she was the sect master. As for when he would become a top disciple, that would depend on junior brother Han. 5 days later, on the eve of the Shangwan clan's curse, the entire clan was hesitating. Shangwan Qingsu occupied a spot in the formation, and so did Shangwan Qiqing. As a leader, he needed to be there. The others had a hard time choosing. Some people wanted to try, but others had their doubts. It was most likely a trap. As the moment approached, they retreated. In the end, only 5 people dared to try, including Shangwan Qingsu and Shangwan Qiqing. There were a total of 7 people. The remaining 3 went to find others from the clan. They were all worried. However, they were willing to try it. Shangwan Qiqing stood in front of the array and waited. He was nervous. This would decide the fate of the Shangwan clan. Would it be a new life for them or another failed experiment? It remained to be seen. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 959. Start the war and attack. Gu Changsheng continue reading on it was getting late, and Shangwan Qingsu and the others hesitated. That was because smiling Sansheng had yet to appear. She didn't know if he was going to come. If he was just toying with them, what would she do? Who was smiling Sansheng really? He was moody, unpredictable, and did things as he pleased. He didn't like small talk. Therefore, if the Shangwan clan made him unhappy, he might call off the deal. Shangguan Qiqing and the others waited. Everyone had a lot on their minds. They didn't know what was waiting for them. They didn't have any other way to suppress their curses. Would this work? Or would they spend an eternity in pain? All kinds of questions filled their minds. As time went by, they became even more anxious. The golden ring glowed, and a voice said, "It seems like you all are ready." Shangguan Qingsu heaved a sigh of relief. It was smiling Sansheng. Jianghao descended from the sky and sighed. These people had not told him of the location, so he had taken some time to find it. He had almost missed it. Do they think him omnipotent? Jianghao sighed. They were all waiting for him here, while he was helplessly wandering around looking for them. This was the backyard of the Shangguan clan. It was close to the mountains and the sea. The mountain peak was the core of the formation. The core was placed in a hidden place according to the requirements, and no one could spy on it. "Enter the array formation," Jianghao said as he walked straight to the core. "What do we need to do?" Shangguan Qiqing hurriedly asked. "You don't have to do anything," Jianghao said with a smile. Shangguan Qiqing was surprised. He couldn't believe that they only had to walk into the array. Didn't he need to use all his strength? In an instant, the 10 people found a place to sit cross-legged in the array and waited. He was both excited and nervous. He didn't even know what to do with his hands. The 3 young men looked left and right in confusion. At that moment, Jianghao was sitting cross-legged in the center. He took out the bead of blood pool and used the heavenly fate misfortune pearl to guide its flow. The blood pool's ability had reached its limit. Whether he could replace the heavenly fate misfortune pearl would depend on tonight's result. If this worked, he could just leave the bead behind and leave. But if it didn't work, then he would need the heavenly fate misfortune pearl. He needed to hold the pearl in his hand. If something went wrong, it would be disastrous. When the time came, Jianghao saw the light of the curse appear between the eyebrows of the 10 people, and it began to spread. However, the blood pool emitted a light that suppressed the curse. The blood pool and the curse seemed to be fighting. It was unlike the heavenly fate misfortune pearl. It forced the curse to retreat with crushing force. That was enough. At that moment, Shangguan Qiqing was gritting his teeth and preparing for the pain to spread. They all knew the pain was coming. The warmth between the brows lasted for a long time, but there was no pain. Only then did they realize that the curse wasn't affecting them. It seemed to be suppressed. For a moment, everyone was stunned. When dawn came, the curse dissipated entirely. They were astonished that the pain they had dealt with all this time was miraculously gone. They had suffered through the pain of the curse since their birth. But the pain was gone. Everyone was excited. Shangguan Qingsu felt strange. The suppression of the curse this time felt different from before. She didn't know if it was because there were too many people or because the clan didn't fully agree to his conditions. It might be the latter, but she couldn't say anything. "Do you feel it?" Jianghao got up and walked out of the formation. He looked at the 10 people. The curse had always been a confidential thing. They never talked about it with outsiders until now. Shangguan Qiqing looked at the person in front of him. He didn't know what to say for a moment. He wondered if it was just a coincidence and maybe the curse was gone naturally. But he didn't dare say that. The next time the curse takes effect, should we do it for the entire clan? Shangguan Qingsu asked. She wanted to make this happen as soon as possible. Once everyone agreed, it would be easier. Sure. Jianghao nodded. I remember that I agreed to do it for your entire clan anyway. You can move the thing I gave you, he said, and looked at Shangguan Qingsu. She lowered her head and nodded. After that, they were not allowed to come up here again. If there was a problem, he would no longer help them. In addition, before the curse acted up again, everyone needed to be present for it to work. Jianghao opened his fan and smiled. We'll meet again. The words unparalleled in the world flashed on the fan before he disappeared. After that, Shangguan Qiqing and the others headed out. They saw their remaining clansmen in pain. They were exhausted. If a fight broke out, they would all be dead. Shangguan Qiqing clenched his fists and power burst out from his hands. He finally realized how exhilarating it was to have the power to do something like this. He ordered the array formation to be expanded to accommodate all people of the clan. In addition, he told them no one was allowed to go up to the peak of the mountain where the core of the formation was. Jiang Hao returned to his house and heaved a sigh of relief. He just had to wait for the next curse to begin. Next time, he would work with Gui. He needed to wait for the gathering. If there was no gathering, he would have to make a trip. After all, he was Jing's spokesperson, so Gui would believe him. But it would be better if there was a gathering soon. He didn't want to face Kendo while going to meet Gui. Jiang Hao shook his head. He had never gone to the mines after the first time. He felt a little anxious. He had no choice but to wait. If the gathering didn't happen, he would make that trip to meet Gui. The last batch of spirit herb seeds would germinate in the next few days. Then, he would look at the selection process for the top disciples. There might be a lot of people participating. It would begin at the end of this year. Before that, he had to speed up the collection of blood for the Blood Wish path. He wanted to let people know that he was planning to participate. The trip to go outside the sect was also for him to improve himself. Jiang Hao waited patiently. Meanwhile, in the mines, Kendo frowned. The situation has changed. Baizhu was cultivating nearby. What is it? She had been here for a long time, and there had been no changes. She was naturally curious. She had asked about a lot of things, but didn't get any more information that was valuable except about the Heavenly Kings. Gu Changsheng seems to be in trouble. I can feel his emotions fluctuating, but it's not very serious. Kendo thought for a moment and said, but I can't understand why. He wasn't acting like this before. Baizhu pondered for a moment and recalled Jing. It might be because of him. It was about time. The next day, Jiang Hao received an alert for a gathering. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 960, The Battle. Continue reading on around early May. At midnight, Jiang Hao felt the stone tablet vibrate. He entered the public area and took his seat. He did not expect the gathering to start so soon. This time, there was something he wanted to say. At the moment, there were still a few people at the gathering. Senior Dan Yuan sat at the top and said with a smile, "This gathering is called in accordance with Gui's request. You can still ask questions about your cultivation." This time, Zhang raised a question. It was a question about immortals, so Jiang Hao didn't understand much. Lu also asked, when ascending to immortality, there should be some strange phenomena. But if there's no phenomenon, will it have a big impact on the future? A phenomenon would occur when ascending to immortality? Jiang Hao was a little surprised. He really didn't know about this. He was also going to ascend to immortality, so the information might be useful to him too. No phenomenon? Dan Yuan smiled. It might be because of the state of mind. It's not easy to open the immortal path without causing a commotion. The issue is very easy to solve. Just look into your sea of consciousness and find the stairs. When Jiang Hao heard this, he thought about his condition. If there was a phenomenon, he wouldn't be able to advance in the sect. Immortal Ascension platform would cause a huge phenomenon, so he couldn't do it in the sect. Unknowingly, he was already so close to becoming an immortal. It felt like it was only yesterday that he was worrying about advancing further. No more questions? Then it's my turn. Friend Jing, do you have something to say? Gui asked. Before Jiang Hao could answer, she said, my companion has noticed that Gu Changsheng is in trouble, but it's not a big problem. I suspect Jing had something to do with it. Jiang Hao was a little surprised. Kendo was truly impressive. He did not pretend to be mysterious. He nodded slightly and said, I made an attempt. The day the Shangwan clan's curse takes effect at the end of July is the time for a counterattack. Whether we can make the other party compromise depends on that day. All right, Gui said excitedly. After that, Gui asked Jiang Hao what she needed to do. Jiang Hao wasn't in a hurry. Instead, he decided to wait a little longer. Gui didn't mind. Do you have any news about the Saint Bandits? Gui asked. Although she knew that there was one in the north, she did not have accurate information. There might be one in the Dragon Cave, Lu said. Overseas? Gui was somewhat repulsed. She didn't want to go overseas now, and it was already too late. The Dragon Cave was about to open. If there is someone there, can you contact him? Gui asked. It's hard to say. I only heard some news that there might be the end of all things and the Saint Bandits in the Dragon Cave. The Great Thousand God Sect's plan includes them. Therefore, it's very difficult to avoid the traps of the Great Thousand God sect, Lu said. How wide is the range of the Great Thousand God sect's traps? Xing asked. It should be someone who is greedy. It is possible for them to enter. If they want to watch from the sidelines, they need to be far enough. In addition, it's best not to be greedy when you see something. Otherwise, you might fall into the trap, Lu said. Xing was a little surprised. Then, he looked at Gui. I found the book you wanted. I'll take it with me when I leave and give it to you later. Gui heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed like she really didn't need to go overseas. Indeed, the problem overseas wasn't that it was dangerous. But danger followed her wherever she went. Also, wherever Jing went, there was a certain danger. Maybe danger followed because she always met Jing wherever she went. Gui felt much better. Maybe the jinx was someone else and not her. It had nothing to do with her. She was the #1 genius of the imperial family, right? There should be dragons in the dragon cave that can communicate. Of course, it's just a possibility. Lu looked at Zhang. Overseas. Zhang didn't say anything else. It seemed impossible to get there on time. Are those two still in the academy? Jiang Hao asked Zhang. Yes. Zhang nodded. Maybe someone will visit them in the next year or two, Jiang Hao said. Because of the wordless heavenly book? Zhang asked. As for who would come, it was obvious. Wordless heavenly book? Gui asked curiously. Recently, the Astronomical Academy obtained a book from somewhere. It has no words or aura, but it has the light of the stars. The Academy suspects that there were words in this book, but ordinary people can't see them. In order not to waste the knowledge, we invited many sects to come and study it, Zhang said. Zhang, are you free? Xing immediately asked. Yes. Zhang nodded. I would like to ask Zhang to use a special method to send a message, Xing said. Jiang Hao understood what the other party wanted to do. It was probably to send a message to the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment. He wanted her to take a look at the wordless heavenly book. Others might not be able to read it, but the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment definitely might be able to. Zhang agreed. Her request was to verify the wordless heavenly book. If there really were words in it, she hoped that someone could tell her what it said. Do any of you want to enter the Dragon Cave? Senior Dan Yuan suddenly asked. The question surprised the others. Who would enter it when they knew it was a trap? Was there anyone here who was that confident? For a moment, everyone looked at Jing. Why are you looking at me? Why do you all think I want to go? Jiang Hao fell helpless. Maybe, he said after a moment of hesitation. Hong Yue wanted to enter the cave too, so he had no choice. Everyone sighed. Friend Jing, if you have any news about the true Dragon Clan, you can tell me, Dan Yuan said. Jiang Hao nodded. However, he wanted to go there for the true dragon. Friend Jing, if you see a true dragon, please tell me. Please help me find out if the true Dragon Clan has a special spell technique to suppress memories, Zhang said. All right, Jiang Hao nodded. The gathering ended. Yin Yuezhi woke up from her deep sleep. She looked at the moonlight outside and took out a piece of paper from the desk. She wrote something on it. After a while, she stopped writing, folded the paper, and scribbled a rune on it. In the blink of an eye, the paper turned into a talisman. It burned, and a wisp of green smoke soared into the sky. No one knew where it went. After that, she went out to the courtyard and gazed at the moonlight outside. He seemed to be missing something. After becoming an immortal, she could not control her mind wandering. She recalled the days when she was young. Time passed quickly, and the moonlight was soon replaced by the morning glow. She walked out step by step. She arrived at the logistics department. At that moment, a woman was busy working. She did not look unhappy. Instead, her eyes were filled with hope. This place gave her a great sense of security. Master, the other party bowed respectfully when she saw Yin Yuezhi. You shouldn't call me that. I'm still a student here, said Yin Yuezhi calmly. To me, you are my master, the woman said seriously. Yin Yuezhi did not mind. Someone will come to visit you in the next year or two, she said. The woman was stunned. At first, she didn't quite understand, but she soon understood. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 961. It's interesting to see you struggle. Continue reading on. Cultivation +1. Lifeblood +1. Strength +1. Jiang Hao stood in the spirit herb garden and looked at the last batch of high-grade spirit herbs and let out a sigh of relief. The 300 superior grade spirit herbs that Bai Yi had given him had all germinated. Now that he was no longer bound by this matter, he could go out of the sect. He had prepared for it. He just needed to be at his peak. He was waiting to fight Gu Changsheng at the end of July. If the two sides surrounded each other, the other party might do something more. If they were not careful, it would be dangerous. He needed to be careful. Junior brother Jiang, you planted a superior grade spirit herb again? Miao Tinglian asked. Jiang Hao sighed inwardly. Senior sister Miao usually didn't stay to talk with him. She had arrived suddenly, so he felt that something was wrong. Good morning, senior sister Miao, Jiang Hao said politely. Junior brother Jiang, you're too polite. There's no need to be so formal. Miao Tinglian smiled. These few days, I went to visit other branches with Mu Qi. He found some great candidates. Hey, junior brother Jiang, where are you going? Don't go. Jiang Hao was no longer polite. He just ignored her and walked away. He had been too embarrassed to walk away before, but he decided to risk it. However, she was not discouraged. He did not know when she would be able to give up on matchmaking. He wished senior sister Miao could focus on herself more than this. There were still some Heavenly Saint sect members in the sect who were planning something. They would definitely target them. She couldn't even protect herself, yet she still had time to find a companion for him. He didn't know what to do about senior sister Miao. The fallen immortal clan was trying to make the immortal seed bloom. The Heavenly Saint sect and Heavenly Spirit tribe might be supporting them. The higher-ups of both sides would definitely do more. They might all know about the divine item. Xing's mission was not easy to complete. The Holy Master's divine soul might still be useful. He hoped that he wouldn't bump into them when he went to the Heavenly Spirit tribe. Jiang Hao went as far away from Miao Tinglian as possible. She was disappointed. Junior brother Jiang's cultivation realm is too high. He's already ignoring me. No, I have to advance. Miao Tinglian sighed and was about to cultivate and advance. She was not far from reaching the primordial spirit realm. In 1 or 2 years, Jiang Hao would be beyond her realm. What are you thinking about, senior sister Miao? Asked a woman with a smile. Her eyes were so clear that people could not help but stare at her. Junior sister Ming Yi? She didn't really know this person very well. Senior sister Miao, you know my name? Ming Yi smiled. Senior sister, you seem very familiar with junior brother Jiang. He is truly extraordinary. He was only at the Foundation Establishment realm when I first met him. In the blink of an eye, he made it to the Golden Core realm. His cultivation realm is even higher than mine now. She sighed with emotion. A person who was weaker than her had suddenly surpassed her. That's because of the blood wish path, Miao Tinglian said with a smile. Many people thought that Jiang Hao cultivated the blood wish path. Miao Tinglian didn't think that was true, but she felt that it was better to let others think so. There was no need to explain anything. Of course, those who paid close attention to it would be suspicious about it. But it didn't matter. Really? Ming Yi smiled. I heard that people from Heavenly Saint sect have been wandering around the cliff of broken hearts. What are they here for? I don't know. My cultivation is so weak, so I don't understand many things. Do you know, junior sister Ming Yi? Miao Tinglian was flustered. I have to be careful. My husband sometimes goes on missions and nobody's there by my side. All right. Are you married, junior sister? Do you want me to introduce you to someone? Ming Yi looked at the person in front of her in astonishment. She wondered why Miao Tinglian was asking her such a question. As a cultivator, everyone wanted to become an immortal and live a long life. Most of the time, romantic partners only got in the way. How could such a person cultivate so quickly and be able to freely walk around the sect despite going through so many things? The people from Heavenly Saint sect were all watching her. Was she not afraid? I don't really want a partner right now, said Ming Yi. Oh, then forget it. Miao Tinglian was disappointed. Then, I won't disturb you, junior sister. She turned around and left. Senior sister? Ming Yi called out to her. How did you manage to avoid that person's gaze? What did you say, junior sister? Miao Tinglian asked. It's nothing. Ming, he shook her head. After that, Miao Tinglian turned around and left. Just as she turned around, her smile disappeared. Is she someone like me? She thought to herself. However, she couldn't say that aloud. She didn't care if she was targeted or not. It wasn't like they were familiar with each other. The other party's life and death had nothing to do with her. I'm so bored. I'm going to find my husband. Miao Tinglian left happily. Under the mines, Xiao Yi's cultivation had already broken through to the peak of the primordial spirit realm. It will be slower after that. The heavenly spirit tribe's heaven-bestowed cultivation technique. Kendo was surprised. And it's not just one. Do you have 2 other auxiliary techniques? Xiao Yi nodded. She had been shocked when she received them, too. The princess had actually found 3 of the 4 heaven-bestowed cultivation techniques of the heavenly spirit tribe for her. It seemed like she still had to find the 4th one. She did not know how powerful the princess was, but she could tell that the princess alone had surpassed the entire imperial family. That was definitely not something that the imperial family could achieve. 1 as the main, 2 as support. However, don't cultivate the 4th rashly. Without a balanced method, you'll be doomed forever, Kendo said kindly. Since he had nothing to do, he would teach them as much as he could. Senior, do you know where to find the art of balance? Baizhu asked. I don't know, Kendo said. Senior, I've been asking a lot of questions lately, but you haven't given me any straight answers, said Baizhu. Yes, I'm doing it on purpose. Kendo nodded. Why? Baizhu was startled. It's quite amusing to see you suffer, Kendo said with a smile. Baizhu was speechless. Xiao, he didn't say anything. This senior was unpredictable. The princess could ask questions and talk as she pleased because she was quite powerful. She naturally couldn't. Tell me, what news do you have? Kendo asked. Senior, we can launch an attack at the end of July. At that time, there will be people who could help. The other party will be in great trouble. Whether or not we can suppress him will depend on you, Senior. It's not a problem. I just don't know if they can do it. If they can't block Gu Changsheng's escape route, ITLL be useless no matter what I do, Kendo said. Well, if that doesn't work, then there's probably no other way, Baizhu said. However, she felt that it was not a problem. We have to inform the Heavenly Notes sect before we act. Perhaps it will affect the outside world again, Kendo said. 2 months passed in a flash, and it was already late July. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 962. Dare to be the first in the world in the 2nd floor of the wooden house. Jiang Hao was sitting at his desk and making talismans. Beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. He seemed a little tired. He only heaved a sigh of relief when the talisman flickered with a faint light. Then, he put down the brush. He picked up a Return to Void Realm clone talisman. In the past few months, he had been making clone talismans whenever he was free. He was creating a clone of power at the Return to Void Realm or above, so the success rate was not very high. In the beginning, he only made 2 out of 10. After spending 60,000 spirit stones to buy the materials, he had finally improved. He had more than 400 clone talismans with him. Including the previous ones, there were a total of 568. He was left with 150,000 spirit stones. 2 months ago, Hong Ye came by. To be on the safe side, he asked her about the Shangwan clan. Hong Ye gave a strange answer. She said that if the entire clan were together, the curse would be unprecedentedly strong. Perhaps the power on the other side could interfere with the array. He had to have enough suppressive power, or else it would be easy for problems to occur. Jiang Hao fell silent. He didn't have enough power, so he could only use the clone talisman. He hoped that he would not need to use it. If he needed it, he didn't know if it would be of much use. He naturally knew his own strength. However, the suppressive power of it was still effective. He imbued the talismans with purple energy. When he used it, he would be able to channel the primordial spirit energy properly. I hope nothing goes wrong. If he failed, he wouldn't be able to stop Gu Changsheng, and Gue would fail too. Jing had to protect the image he had created. Although the others wouldn't say anything if he failed, Gu Changsheng wouldn't be so forgiving. and the mysterious personality of Jing would disappear too. There would definitely be some trouble in the future. It was tiring to maintain the image he had created. However, this was a necessary thing to do. Jiang Hao walked to his balcony and looked into the distance. He took a deep breath. There are still 3 days left. I have to maintain my peak condition. He was very tired. He had been waiting since the end of the gathering. He didn't care much about other things. The Shangwan clan's matter was his priority. He continued with his explanation of cultivation in the garden. The Foundation establishment realm cultivators of the other branches had all come in order to listen to his explanation. Everyone knew the rules. If they gained anything from him, they would leave behind a portion of blood. It was all voluntary. No one forced anyone. No one even cared if they left the scene after obtaining the benefits. There were many people like that. However, they were unable to enter the cliff of broken hearts after that. They were banished by senior brother Muqi. How dare people from other branches come here and be impudent? Jiang Hao didn't care. He had his own goal, but it was not bad to have his seniors help him. At the very least, it was for spreading his notorious blood wish path reputation. If they weren't willing to pay, they weren't qualified to listen to his lectures. This kind of thing happened in the sect. Some people thought that he was about to die, and some people thought that he wanted to refine his golden core realm to its peak so that he could compete for the position of top disciple. More and more people were discussing him behind his back, while others looked down on him. The blood wish path was not very popular, but Jiang Hao was happy with the assumption. He sighed as he looked at the peach tree in the courtyard. In fact, he had long since stopped thinking about the last incarnation. So far, he did not have the resources to make it undergo the last incarnation. 1,000,000 spirit stones were one thing, but there were 2 other conditions it needed to meet. He had no choice but to wait. After waiting for 3 days, Jiang Hao's condition reached its peak. He looked at the peach tree again, but there was still nothing there. It seemed that he had to rely on himself this time. After using the Heavenly Secret's hidden talisman, Jiang Hao transformed into Smiling Sansheng and disappeared. Smiling Sansheng was never afraid of strong enemies. If others were strong, he would only be stronger. He was fearless. There was no other way to be. Under the minds of the Heavenly Notes sect, Bai Zhu was getting nervous. Tonight was the day of the decisive battle. "Senior, are you ready?" she asked. "Of course, you guys have to be careful. I'm going to see if I can get Gu Changshan to talk. The Heavenly Notes sect has been informed, right?" Kendo asked. "Yes, I did inform them." Bai Zhu nodded. "All right, they'll try it now," Kendo said. Then, he closed his eyes and began to pry into the existence behind the giant tree. It was like walking in the void. He transmitted his divine sense with his sword's intent. "Let me give you a piece of advice. It's not too late to reach an agreement." It was like a stone sinking into the ocean. Didn't you get into trouble before? Perhaps you will think that it is a small problem, but you will soon find that it will completely crush you. Tonight is the day your power spreads. Aren't you worried? You must know that the trouble last time was just an appetizer. Kendo waited. This time, he didn't throw a stone into the ocean of void. "You are very strong, but not strong enough. No matter how much you do, you'll just be a clown." The other party finally responded. "Senior, I like what you said very much because you will soon face my sword." "How do you compare to the sword god from back then?" "I'm a bit inferior to him. Back then, the sword god and I had a 50-50 chance of winning against each other. How can you compete with me?" I admit I'm not very confident, but my sword isn't afraid of strong enemies. Too much is as bad as not being strong enough. If something is too hard, I tell it'll break easily. "Senior, you must be joking. There are only small paths in the Tao. I want to cut down the great Tao of heaven and earth. There is no restriction on the Tao of heaven and earth. I dare to be the first in the world and the first in the Tao of the sword to have done it." The other party was silent for a long time. Then he said, "You're more arrogant than the sword god, but you still haven't given me anything that'll make me negotiate with you. Everything is still under my control." Kendo smiled and retreated. He began to wait and readied the sword in his hand. He couldn't wait any longer. At the 100 Flowers Lake, the red and white figure stood by the lake and looked into the distance. No one knew what was on her mind. "Sect Master, Baiji appeared by the lake and bowed her head respectfully. Is something going to happen to the mine? Hong Yi asked. Yes, there might be some changes tonight. We've already started to deal with it with all our strength. Although the other party said that there won't be any problems, we still need to be careful, Baiji said. Everyone knew that he was the first person to compete in the way of the sword. If the battle between the two sides began, it would be fatal for the Heavenly Note sect. However, they weren't displeased. They were more than happy to have such an expert take action to resolve the hidden danger. After all, the tree was in the Heavenly Note sect, and it would definitely bring great trouble to the Heavenly Note sect in the future. Has the selection for the top disciples already begun? Hong Yi didn't ask much about Kendo. Yes, it has already begun. Many people will be participating. Baiji thought for a moment. Zhang Hao is also participating. He seems to be interested in competing for the position of the top disciple. With his strength, there should be no problem at all. Right now, he is constantly explaining cultivation issues to Foundation Establishment and Lifeblood Refinement Realm cultivators. Everyone thinks he practices the Blood Wish path. Presumably, he uses it to become stronger or to pave the way for a breakthrough. There's a high chance that it has something to do with the person behind him. Jiang Hao becoming a top disciple might be beneficial to the person behind him. Perhaps it would be better to find out who is behind him to find out what they plan. Is that so? Hong Yu said calmly. Then, let's see what happens next. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 963. Unparalleled in the World, Smiling San Sheng. 1. In the backyard of the Shangwan clan, the waves crashed against the edge of the mountain peak, and the wind blew through the forest. Jiang Hao stood at the center of the mountain peak and looked down. At that moment, the array formation had already expanded. At the foot of the mountain, there was a crowd of people. Shangwan Qiqing stood at the forefront. Greetings, disciple smiling San Sheng, he said when he saw Jiang Hao. The others followed suit. Although they didn't know who the person at the top was, the clan said that they were going to fight against the curse this time. This person must be related to the curse. Even if it had nothing to do with the curse, he was not someone they could offend. After all, the clan leader was so respectful toward that person, which was enough to explain how important he was. Under the moonlight, Jiang Hao looked down from above. The people of the Shangwan clan, all staring at him, put him under a lot of pressure. Even if these people's combat strength was inferior to his, they weren't ordinary people. Then, he released his power and checked the array formation. After confirming that there was no mistake, he smiled. All we need to do now is wait. Tonight will be the night for a new start to your lives. As soon as he finished speaking, he turned around and entered the core of the formation. There was a room there. Outsiders did not know what was going on inside. Jiang Hao could feel that the people below were a little nervous. He was also very nervous. This was the first time he had encountered such a thing. The fate of this clan was in his hands. Unknowingly, he had already become so strong. Unfortunately, there were many powerful people in this world. He could not be arrogant. He needed to continue waiting. The longer he waited, the stronger he would be. His future was still promising. Jiang Hao calmed down. He hadn't taken out the heavenly fate misfortune pearl yet. He wanted to sense the emotions and movements of the people below. He felt confusion, helplessness, and excitement from them. Today was the day of the curse's outbreak. Some people still didn't understand why this was happening. How could it be useful? Some were against it, especially the women. The pain made them miserable, and they didn't want others to see them like that. Jiang Hao could feel the sadness and desolation of the clan. However, he was helpless. This was how it was supposed to be. What surprised him was that there were many young children in the crowd who were swaddled in their mother's arms. All these people were tormented by the curse. The human world is suffering. Whether ordinary people or cultivators, they all struggled. Jiang Hao shook his head. He didn't think too much about it. Time passed by. Some felt like it had been a year, while others passed by in a flash. Jiang Hao opened his eyes when he sensed the power of the curse spreading. It's starting. It was midnight. The curse began to spread. He didn't know if it was because of the curse gathering, but he could feel that the curse was much stronger this time. Shangwan Qingsu also noticed that this curse was different from the past. It was similar to what she had experienced in the Heavenly Note sect. However, it was a little strange. It was as if the curse knew that their race was going to fight and began a counterattack. For a moment, she was excited, but she was also worried that smiling Sansheng would fail. Shangwan Qiqing was even more worried. She felt the anger of the curse. If they failed, they would have to face the worst of the curse. A scorching heat appeared between their brows, and then it began to extend at a speed that they had never encountered before. In an instant, they panicked, as if their lives might end here. Some even screamed in fear. There was worry, fear, and despair on everyone's faces. However, just as they thought that the curse was about to erupt, a red light suddenly appeared in the array. Then, the curse retreated at a speed visible to the naked eye. Those people who were screaming were at a loss. They didn't know what had happened. What had happened to the curse? Shangwan Qingsu took a deep breath. The situation was completely different from before. It was as if it was about to explode. She thought that even if the curse could be suppressed, it would be painful. Unexpectedly, it was gone in an instant. Just like many times before, this person had helped get rid of the curse. This proved that he was indeed able to get rid of the curse. However, because they did not fully agree to the conditions, he only used a portion of his power. Shangwan Qiqing felt the difference. He did not regret his choice. As long as he could suppress it, it was enough. As for the others, they were surprised and delighted. They were still in a daze. Everything happened too suddenly. Jiang Hao sat cross-legged on the ground with a frown. When he was suppressing the curse, he felt a wave of pressure. A cursed passage was forming under the array, and something could erupt at any time. At that moment, Jiang Hao knew that something unexpected was about to happen. He took out the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl, the Heavenly Blade, and the Immortal Mountain Sea Shield. The 9 Heavens battle armor appeared around him. He was facing a strong enemy, so he had to go all out. He just didn't know when the other party would make a move. However, he could vaguely sense something in the cursed passage. It was like a sword's intent. In the Heavenly Notes sect, Baiji and the others were guarding the mines. Everyone had been evacuated. Ku Wuchang and the others followed behind Baiji. They all knew that something was going to happen tonight. At that moment, Kendo laughed. I finally feel like I found something important. It seems like your path of retreat has been blocked. From the very beginning, Kendo hadn't felt like they were facing a real opponent. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 964. Unparalleled in the world, smiling Sansheng. 2. They had no choice but to participate in this war. However, things were different now. Kendo could sense it. At that moment, he stood up and walked toward the center of the conflict with his sword in hand. His swords will burst out and pierce the darkness. At that moment, they heard a sigh. Immediately after, a figure walked out of the void and faced Kendo's sword intent. Why bother? Why did you have to take out your sword? Gu Changshang sighed. Kendo looked ahead and said softly, Senior, it's very kind of you to worry about me. At that moment, 2 auras instantly surged. Boom! The 2 of them attacked at the same time. The explosion of the power shook the surroundings, and the void shattered. Baizhu sensed the power outside, and took Qiao Yi with her to escape. At that time, the mines began to shake. Baizhi led her men to suppress the surroundings. The sword's will and the power of the curse intersected. The void shook and a great Tao evaporated. The sword's intent broke through the curse, and the curse was like a tidal wave that surged violently. The fight lasted for a long time. The bright sword essence began to disintegrate under the huge waves. It became dim. No matter how much power the sword's intent released, it was unable to break through the sky like curse wave. The black figure stood on the waves and shook his head. Your sword's will is just SOSO. It's far inferior to the sword god. As soon as he finished speaking, he reached out and pressed down. The last of the sword's light disappeared. Just as he was about to leave, a voice suddenly came from under the curse wave. "Senior, it's too early to be so emotional." The black shadow stopped and looked down at the huge wave. At that moment, he found a figure standing amidst the curse. He held a long sword, and there was no sword light around him. His sword was like scrap metal. However, it was not affected by the curse. The black shadow was puzzled. Kendo looked up at the figure on the huge wave. He waved the sword in his hand. "Like I said, my sword can split waves." Boom! The cursed wave was split apart by the sword. There was no sword light, but there was biting cold air. At that moment, Kendo walked out of the gap in the giant wave. He waved the long sword in his hand again. "My sword can suppress the sea." The swords will surged, and the endless wave shattered. The sword lit up and moved along with it. "My sword can cut through the great Tao of heaven and earth." In an instant, the world was filled with endless swords intent. At that moment, Kendo walked up to the black shadow and tried to compete with him. At the same time, his sword's intent broke through the void. His voice came from the void. "My sword can make the Tao of the sword erupt." Boom! The curse shattered in front of the endless sword's will, and the void flickered. Boundless Tao techniques and curses were shattered under Kendo's feet. A man and a sword pierced through the void. The black shadow retreated. He looked at the person in front of him and frowned. They just stood there quietly. The two of them clashed again. At that moment, a sword light from the heavenly note sect shot into the clouds. Baiji and the others were shocked. However, he didn't dare to approach them. Everyone just waited quietly and took some precautions. They retreated. The Shangwan clan overseas were still in shock. They clearly wanted to ask about what had happened, but they had no choice but to keep their mouths shut. Shangwan Qiqing waited quietly. He felt that today was not an ordinary day. At that moment, Jiang Hao sat cross-legged in the center and paid close attention to the formation. The cursed passage had really taken shape. Although it was very small, there might be power flowing out from it. Even if it was only a very weak force, it could not be underestimated. However, he sensed the sword's will. It seemed that the sword's will had started a fight with Gu Changsheng. If Kendo loses, we might be fine here. But if they are evenly matched, Gu Changsheng will have no choice but to come here. While Jiang Hao was thinking, a sword's intent suddenly rushed toward him. Jiang Hao was shocked, but he didn't panic. He grabbed the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl and tried to suppress the space. Boom! The explosion came suddenly, followed by the shaking of the mountain. The people of the Shangwan clan were a little confused. Immediately after, black energy began to appear between their brows. At that moment, they were terrified. They knew that the curse had changed. Some people complained, "I told you not to believe in it. It's over. I feel something crawling on my body. I don't want to participate anymore. Let me go." Many complained, and some people even wanted to leave the array. Shangwan Qiqing was afraid, but he still intimidated everyone. If you dare to take a step out of the array, you will be branded a traitor. A powerful force and the surrounding array formation were aimed at everyone. Betraying the clan meant death. Only then did everyone slowly calm down, but the black gas continued to spread. The sword's intent struck the space and broke the restraints. The black gas spread wildly. Jiang Hao stood up. The two pearls in his hands were suppressing the surrounding area, but the sword's intent was too powerful. Gu Changsheng used Kendo's sword's will and turned it around. Impressive. If Kendo was not his match, then there was no need to make use of him. The sword's intent was not afraid of the suppression of the heavenly fate misfortune pearl, so it was helping the other party release its power. Jiang Hao didn't panic when he saw the black gas of the curse spreading. He stared at the formation and realized that the other party was also using the important parts of the formation to try to control the outside world. Soon, black gas began to surge crazily. Some of the people of the Shangwan clan cried out in fear. Everyone was gathered here, including ordinary people. It was inevitable that some of them would panic. Shangwan Qiqing felt black water flowing out from between his eyebrows. He looked at the core in horror. "Fellow disciple, Please save us." "All right," Jiang Hao said from above. At that moment, he found the source. He could try to stop it. Everyone looked at him. They did not understand how he could save them. Jiang Hao waved the folding fan in his hand, and many talismans flew up. Purple energy appeared around him. The black gas had already condensed into a figure, and its outline was vaguely discernible. "Go away." Jiang Hao looked at the other party and waved his folding fan. In an instant, the talisman flew out and immediately turned into his figure. Each talisman was a clone. Each clone landed in a special spot. Purple energy appeared in the clone. For a moment, the Shangguan clan saw the purple energy descend from the sky and pierce into the cursed black energy. The powerful strength and the vast purple energy shocked them. At that moment, each clone formed a seal with their hands. The mountain and sea seal appeared and was shot into the array. In an instant, the purple energy and the black energy clashed. Boom! Both sides were evenly matched. At that moment, the sword's intent seemed to have sensed something and quickly dissipated. Without the support of the sword's intent, the black gas was powerless. After being suppressed by the purple energy, he could not move anymore. For a moment, they had an overwhelming advantage. The black gas was dissipating. The heavenly blade swung down. Although he looked calm, he was stressed. In front of him, the black shadow looked at him, and then a weak voice said, "Who are you? How is it that you are able to hold an extremely dangerous object and still have the strength to suppress me?" Jiang Hao's lips curled up in a smile. The folding fan in his hand opened with a whoosh, and the words "unparalleled in the world" appeared. His laughter could pierce through everything. "Unparalleled in the world. I'm Smiling Sansheng." Smiling Sansheng? Kendo was a little surprised. He just realized that he had been used, so he withdrew his sword's intent at once. At the same time, he noticed the battle on the other side. He didn't know what exactly happened, but he heard something. Gu Changsheng was defeated, and the person who subdued him was holding an extremely dangerous object. He was curious. He thought that the other party would hide his identity, but he had mentioned his name without a care in the world. He couldn't help but laugh. There is indeed no shortage of geniuses in this world. Then, he retreated from the void. Everything was over. Gu Changsheng had no way out. He could either stay inside forever or compromise. Experts rarely acted on impulse, so the result was self-evident. The next morning, the Shangguan clan welcomed the rising sun unscathed. This time, what they saw was not just pure sunlight. It was their future. It was a new dawn. 3 days after Jiang Hao returned to his courtyard, the mines returned to normal. On the same day, Elder Baiji saw the honored guests out of the sect. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 966. Immense power. Jiang Hao sat cross-legged and listened to Gui's question. She was asking about the spiritual technique Mountain Sea Insight. It was a potent spiritual technique that could raise the upper limit of the primordial spirit. Gu Changsheng must have given it to her. He had also told her about the best way to cultivate, but Gue was unsure if his words were trustworthy. She had asked for the gathering to ask Senior Dan Yuan's advice. Other than her, no one else had any other questions. Senior Dan Yuan only had one mission, and that was to obtain information about the Dragon Pearl. It wasn't any ordinary information. He wanted the whereabouts of the Dragon Clan and their current conditions. This information could probably only be found out after entering the Dragon Cave. Without any more missions, they proceeded to the trading phase. "I still need to find the Saint Bandits," Gue said. "If there are some things you want to know about the West, you can try asking me." Gu Changsheng had agreed to Gui's arrangement, so she was all right now. Gue could do many other things. Zhang thought for a moment and said, "Can someone help me find out if there are any dragons in the West?" "All right," Gue nodded. "I lack things. Do you have any spatial treasures? As long as you can break the array and send some news, you'll hear it." "I do, but the number of times it can be used is limited," Xing said. "That's all right. What should I do?" Lu nodded and asked, Please help me persuade the heavenly spirit tribe. If the price is too high, I can pay you other rewards, Xing said. Lu agreed. Jiang Hao knew that Xing was about to start his mission. Sure enough, Xing looked at him. Are you going overseas, fellow disciple? Yes. I still need a few more months. All right. Jiang Hao didn't say anything more. Suppressing the fallen immortal clan wasn't that easy. The heavenly spirit tribe, heavenly saint sect, and the fallen immortal clan would all interfere with his plan. Maybe even the heavenly spirit tribe did not know where the divine item was. If they knew, they would not have given Xing the chance. Although the heavenly spirit tribe had declined cooperation, they didn't know what the Shangwan clan was up to. They were still strong. There was no way for the Shangwan clan to get stronger without him. Shangwan Qingsu was very strong, but she was stuck at the early stage of the Immortal Ascension platform. After the trading phase, they talked about recent developments. Zhang was the first to speak. The one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment has already gone to the Astronomical Academy. She might really be able to comprehend the wordless heavenly book. What is her cultivation realm? Gui immediately asked. The others were also listening. For such an existence, the speed of her advancement was something astonishing. If I'm not wrong, it should be the early stage of the Soul Ascension realm, Zhang said. Baizhu gaped. Wasn't that too fast? Before they parted ways, there was still quite a distance for her to reach the Soul Ascension realm. It didn't make sense that she had advanced so fast. That's faster than expected. The one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment is truly impressive. Lu couldn't help but sigh. Truly impressive. Xing was shocked. Although everyone knew that kind of advancement was very fast, it was hard to understand why it was. How could someone advance to the Soul Ascension realm even before their 30s? They couldn't believe it. When is she going to read the book? Gui asked. Not yet anyway. We have to wait for the other sects to arrive and do it together, Zhang said. The Dragon Cave is about to open. It should happen within these 2 months, said Lu. Jiang Hao lowered his head. It seemed that he would have to accept another mission from the task hall in the next 2 months. Another sum of spirit stones, just gone. If this continued, his spirit stones would drop by 100,000. It seemed that he had to go overseas soon and sell some of his treasures. They might fetch him a lot of spirit stones. Previously, the people of the fallen immortal clan had given him a lot of treasures. There were some things he had yet to sort out. He couldn't leave the Heavenly Note sect without a good reason. Speaking of which, the Great Thousand God sect has been looking for a lantern-carrying disciple. They know where he is, so they should be visiting the Heavenly Note sect soon, Lu said. Are they going to pick a fight? Gui asked. She remembered something. I heard that the Heavenly Note sect has been selecting disciples to be the top disciples. If the Great Thousand God sect were to pick a fight, could they really win against the top disciples? The sects that have visited the Great Thousand God sect have ended up badly. Besides, if it isn't the Great Thousand God sect, ITLL be the end of all things. Who do you think will do it? Everyone was speechless. Jiang Hao had a strange feeling about this. Many sects had visited the Heavenly Note sect in these few years. He felt that things would not go smoothly for the Great Thousand God sect. He remembered that the Heavenly Note sect had cooperated with the Heavenly Saint sect to deal with the Great Thousand God sect before. He did not know what would happen. However, the Lantern Bearer was indeed very important to the Great Thousand God sect. He had to pay him a visit when he was free. He hoped that he could learn more before the other party left. The 12 Heavenly Kings have started the process to become immortals, Lu said. It's just that Hai Luo hasn't returned yet. I wonder what they're planning. I heard that it's basically impossible for them to become immortals, Gui said with a smile. What do you need? Lu looked at Gui. I need the 4th heaven-bestowed cultivation technique of the Heavenly Spirit tribe, Gui said. Unless you can make them become immortals, it's not enough, Lu said with a smile. That was the reason why he could not become an immortal. I thought so. Gui nodded. Then, she said, I want a Dharma treasure that is compatible with the Heavenly Spirit tribe. They'll give you something in exchange depending on the result, Gui said. After that, they began to trade. Jiang Hao knew what Gui was going to say. After all, She had communicated with people like Gu Changsheng and Senior Kendo. After that, Jiang Hao heard about Qi Tian. He heard that the fallen immortal clan had already appeared overseas. It seemed like he was looking for something. After the party ended, Jiang Hao sat on the balcony and sighed. He felt that there were a lot of things going on lately. He had been busy the entire time and had not paid attention to the people around her. Looking down at the spirit beast drooling, Jiang Hao suddenly felt a little emotional. His gaze was erratic. He was too concerned about what was happening outside. It was easy to forget one's heart and neglect the things around. His emotions kept changing. As his cultivation increased, the things he faced became bigger and more dangerous. He always ran into problems that were way beyond his league. It was easy to feel arrogant. That way, he would slowly lose himself. If not for Hong Yuye, he might have already lost his way. Increasingly, he felt that he was losing himself. He had advanced too quickly. It was the easiest to get smug and make a mistake. Jiang Hao couldn't help but laugh at himself. I wonder if the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment has a similar problem. If not, I'm worse off than a little girl. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 966. Immense power. Jiang Hao sat cross-legged and listened to Gui's question. She was asking about the spiritual technique Mountain Sea Insight. It was a potent spiritual technique that could raise the upper limit of the primordial spirit. Gu Changsheng must have given it to her. He had also told her about the best way to cultivate, but Gu was unsure if his words were trustworthy. She had asked for the gathering to ask Senior Dan Yuan's advice. Other than her, no one else had any other questions. Senior Dan Yuan only had one mission, and that was to obtain information about the Dragon Pearl. It wasn't any ordinary information. He wanted the whereabouts of the Dragon Clan and their current conditions. This information could probably only be found out after entering the Dragon Cave. Without any more missions, they proceeded to the trading phase. I still need to find the Saint Bandits, Gu said. If there are some things you want to know about the West, you can try asking me. Gu Changsheng had agreed to Gui's arrangement, so she was all right now. Gu could do many other things. Zhang thought for a moment and said, "Can someone help me find out if there are any dragons in the West?" All right, Gu nodded. I lack things. Do you have any spatial treasures? As long as you can break the array and send some news, you'll hear it. I do, but the number of times it can be used is limited, Xing said. That's all right. What should I do? Lu nodded and asked. Please help me persuade the Heavenly Spirit Tribe. If the price is too high, I can pay you other rewards, Xing said. Lu agreed. Jiang Hao knew that Xing was about to start his mission. Sure enough, Xing looked at him. Are you going overseas, fellow disciple? Yes. I still need a few more months. All right. Jiang Hao didn't say anything more. Suppressing the fallen immortal clan wasn't that easy. The Heavenly Spirit Tribe, Heavenly Saint Sect, and the fallen immortal clan would all interfere with his plan. Maybe even the Heavenly Spirit Tribe did not know where the divine item was. If they knew, they would not have given Xing the chance. Although the Heavenly Spirit Tribe had declined cooperation, they didn't know what the Shangwan clan was up to. They were still strong. There was no way for the Shangwan clan to get stronger without him. Shangwan Qingsu was very strong, but she was stuck at the early stage of the Immortal Ascension platform. After the trading phase, they talked about recent developments. Zhang was the first to speak. The one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment has already gone to the Astronomical Academy. She might really be able to comprehend the wordless heavenly book. What is her cultivation realm? Gu immediately asked. The others were also listening. For such an existence, the speed of her advancement was something astonishing. If I'm not wrong, it should be the early stage of the Soul Ascension realm, Zhang said. Baizhu gaped. Wasn't that too fast? Before they parted ways, there was still quite a distance for her to reach the Soul Ascension realm. It didn't make sense that she had advanced so fast. That's faster than expected. The one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment is truly impressive. Lu couldn't help but sigh. Truly impressive. Xing was shocked. Although everyone knew that kind of advancement was very fast, it was hard to understand why it was. How could someone advance to the soul ascension realm even before their 30s? They couldn't believe it. When is she going to read the book? Gui asked. Not yet anyway. We have to wait for the other sects to arrive and do it together, Zhang said. The Dragon Cave is about to open. It should happen within these 2 months, said Lu. Jiang Hao lowered his head. It seemed that he would have to accept another mission from the task hall in the next 2 months. Another sum of spirit stones, just gone. If this continued, his spirit stones would drop by 100,000. It seemed that he had to go overseas soon and sell some of his treasures. They might fetch him a lot of spirit stones. Previously, the people of the fallen immortal clan had given him a lot of treasures. There were some things he had yet to sort out. He couldn't leave the Heavenly Notes sect without a good reason. Speaking of which, the Great Thousand Gods sect has been looking for a lantern-carrying disciple. They know where he is, so they should be visiting the Heavenly Notes sect soon, Lu said. Are they going to pick a fight? Gui asked. She remembered something. I heard that the Heavenly Notes sect has been selecting disciples to be the top disciples. If the Great Thousand Gods sect were to pick a fight, could they really win against the top disciples? The sects that have visited the Great Thousand Gods sect have ended up badly. Besides, if it isn't the Great Thousand Gods sect, ITLL be the end of all things. Who do you think will do it? Everyone was speechless. Jiang Hao had a strange feeling about this. Many sects had visited the Heavenly Notes sect in these few years. He felt that things would not go smoothly for the Great Thousand Gods sect. He remembered that the Heavenly Notes sect had cooperated with the Heavenly Saints sect to deal with the Great Thousand Gods sect before. He did not know what would happen. However, the Lantern Bearer was indeed very important to the Great Thousand Gods sect. He had to pay him a visit when he was free. He hoped that he could learn more before the other party left. The 12 Heavenly Kings have started the process to become immortals, Lu said. It's just that Hai Luo hasn't returned yet. I wonder what they're planning. I heard that it's basically impossible for them to become immortals, Gui said with a smile. What do you need? Lu looked at Gui. I need the 4th heaven-bestowed cultivation technique of the Heavenly Spirit tribe, Gui said. Unless you can make them become immortals, it's not enough, Lu said with a smile. That was the reason why he could not become an immortal. I thought so. Gui nodded. Then, she said, I want a Dharma treasure that is compatible with the Heavenly Spirit tribe. They'll give you something in exchange depending on the result, Gui said. After that, they began to trade. Jiang Hao knew what Gui was going to say. After all, she had communicated with people like Gu Changsheng and Senior Kendo. After that, Jiang Hao heard about Qi Tian. He heard that the fallen immortal clan had already appeared overseas. It seemed like he was looking for something. After the party ended, Jiang Hao sat on the balcony and sighed. He felt that there were a lot of things going on lately. He had been busy the entire time and had not paid attention to the people around her. Looking down at the spirit beast drooling, Jiang Hao suddenly felt a little emotional. His gaze was erratic. He was too concerned about what was happening outside. It was easy to forget one's heart and neglect the things around. His emotions kept changing. As his cultivation increased, the things he faced became bigger and more dangerous. He always ran into problems that were way beyond his league. It was easy to feel arrogant. That way, he would slowly lose himself. If not for Hong Yuye, he might have already lost his way. Increasingly, he felt that he was losing himself. He had advanced too quickly. It was the easiest to get smug and make a mistake. Jiang Hao couldn't help but laugh at himself. I wonder if the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment has a similar problem. If not, I'm worse off than a little girl. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 967. I can't go back anymore under the moonlight. Jiang Hao landed in the courtyard. He looked at the heavenly fragrance Dao flower and remained silent for a long time. It was because of this flower that he had started getting involved in all sorts of things. However, at some point, fewer and fewer people paid attention to the heavenly fragrance Dao flower. Lu Xingqian had long since stopped paying attention to it. Instead, he had become more interested in Jiang Hao. The spirit beast that was sent to find the flower had become Jiang Hao's pet, which helped guard the flower. He didn't know what was going on with senior sister Ming Yi. She hadn't been here for a long time, and she wasn't an ordinary person either. Although her cultivation realm was not very high, she was good at scheming. There was always a knife hidden behind her smile. If he underestimated her, he would fall into a trap that he wouldn't come out of. Time did not only make a person let go of a person's resentment, but also their purpose. Almost no one was targeting him presently. At the very least, the people from the Sunset Immortal sect would no longer keep an eye on him. Even though Heavenly Saints sect was still behind him, their matter was not urgent. At the end of the day, they didn't take him seriously. Slowly, they would completely forget about him. He wasn't a very noticeable person. As long as nothing big happened, he wouldn't attract anyone's attention. It was hard to say anything about the fallen immortal clan. After all, someone had once spied on the heavenly fate misfortune pearl. Therefore, the matter wasn't simple. The Heavenly Joy Pavilion no longer targeted him. Even if some of the fellow disciples hated him because of senior sister Yin Ruo, it was time to let it go. After all, he was already at the peak of the Golden Core realm. Jiang Hao sat down on the chair under the tree and took out a notebook to record everything from the gathering. Slow down, look around, and feel everything. Even if you run, you can't ignore your surroundings. Otherwise, your foundation won't be stable. Jiang Hao wrote these 2 sentences in his notebook. He just wanted to remind himself of it. Then, he began to write other things he had found out. Senior Dan Yuan only had one mission, which was related to the Dragon Clan. Senior Dan Yuan had been looking for a dragon for a long time. Lu and Zhang seemed to be looking for it too. There were also people from the Clear Sky School who seemed to be after the dragon. I feel like a lot of people are looking for dragons. I don't know why. Jiang Hao wanted to find one for Shaoli. He wanted to see what was going on with Shaoli. The other mission was to find out the origin of the Archean Abyss Dragon Pearl. Apart from Senior Dan Yuan's mission, he was going into the Dragon Cave to fulfill Zhang's task. The other thing was to find the divine item that could suppress the immortal seed of the fallen immortal clan. The matter was complicated. He might have to face the Great Thousand God sect, the end of all things, the Heavenly Saints sect, the Heavenly Spirit tribe, and the fallen immortal clan together. It was a highly dangerous task. However, there were benefits too. He could wipe the divine items for bubbles as much as he wanted. It could also help him suppress the immortal seed of the fallen immortal clan. According to Gu Jin, that kind of thing was unavoidable. However, Jiang Hao didn't want to stop the Great Arrow War from happening. He just wanted to buy himself some time to avoid danger. After writing down everything, Jiang Hao started reading his notes. He stopped cultivating. His cultivation realm couldn't improve much. What he needed to do now was to calm his state of mind. It would allow him to better understand his current strength instead of letting it affect his mindset. Cultivation was not only about physical strength, but also about strengthening the mind. The sky had brightened. The spirit beast was still sleeping soundly. The sun's rays were simply dazzling. Suddenly, the spirit beast sat up in a daze. Jiang Hao was a little surprised. Why did it suddenly wake up early today? Master, you're up? The spirit beast wiped its saliva and got up. Is Shaoli here? No, I haven't seen her. Jiang Hao looked at the spirit beast. What are you planning? Shaoli is going to compete for the position of the top disciples. I want my friends in the underworld to help her. My friends will definitely help and clear a path for her. She'll succeed in the selection round. Jiang Hao was speechless. Wasn't Shaoli afraid of repercussions? However, there was no problem if Shaoli won. No one really wanted to challenge her openly. After telling them not to fight recklessly, Jiang Hao let it be. No one could compete with Shaoli. After all, she would be fine. Shaoli was also a true disciple. None of her peers at the same level dared to fight her and win. She was someone who dared to sleep in the middle of Senior Kendo's lectures. Her reputation even surpassed that of the notorious spirit beast. After that, Jiang Hao headed to the spirit her garden. This time, he was not in a hurry. Instead, he walked by the stream and felt the changes in the water. He looked at the sunlight dancing on the stream. Occasionally, he even stopped to watch the fish in the water. When he came back to his senses, he realized that it was getting late. He had to go to the spirit herb garden to tend to the herbs. He recalled that he used to do this when he was young. He would stare at others across the river, but could never join them. He didn't fit in with them. When it was time, he would head back home to chop some firewood. How many years has it been? 37 years. He felt bittersweet at the passage of time. It was unsettling how time passed. Many years and memories have been erased, just like that. The place he had lived in, the places where he used to play with his friends, all were gone. They were distant memories. Suddenly, he felt something strange. After hesitating for a moment, he used Heavenly Secret's hidden talisman and left the sect. After a long time, Jiang Hao appeared in Fallen City. This city had also experienced the brunt of the passage of time. Everything felt old. The last time he had been here, Hong Yuye had come with him. In the past, he had not dared to leave the sect without her. At that moment, he appeared in the city without a second thought. He did not know why it had felt so strange. The streets of Fallen City were not as lively as before. Jiang Hao couldn't find any familiar faces as he walked past one shop after another. Only the inn remained where it had been. The roast duck restaurant that he liked had become a shop for clothes. Hao felt disappointed, but there was nothing he could do. The world moved on. People and things changed with time, and experiences became a distant past. All that was left were bittersweet memories. Jiang Hao arrived at his childhood home. The door was tightly shut, just like before, and the surroundings were filled with unfamiliar people. The place was surrounded by burly men. "May I ask what is going on here?" Jiang Hao asked a man dressed in a coarse robe beside him. He even handed over a spirit stone. The other party was a little surprised and quickly waved his hand dismissively. "Young man, you're too polite. This place is about to be torn down. Minister Chun bought this land. He wants to build a large courtyard here." "Who bought it?" Jiang Hao was surprised. The walls had fallen off. The place was old. "Minister Chun, the place is very old, and there's no one living in it. Minister Chun is a kind person. He paid a lot for the people who were living here to find a better home." The man sighed. "Well, I'm kind of busy. He'll leave you to it." Jiang Hao nodded. He looked at the old house where he was born and raised. He heard the crowd of men working together to dismantle the whole house. 1, 2, 3. Now. Boom. Jiang Hao raised his head as his childhood home collapsed. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 968. The sign of becoming an immortal. Jiang Hao stood there for a long time. Some of the men walked around him to avoid getting in his way. They saw that this young man was dressed in silk and satin. He didn't speak much, but had a powerful presence. He looked like a nobleman. They couldn't offend him. When the house was completely destroyed, Jiang Hao sighed softly. He felt like a part of him was gone forever and would never return. At that moment, he walked to the old man who was taking a break in a corner. "Grandpa, may I ask you a question?" The old man was eating some snacks. He raised his head to look at the person who had talked to him and got up in a panic. "Young man, don't startle me like that. My heart can't take it." "I apologize," Jiang Hao said gently. "I just wanted to ask you about the people who were living in that house." He pointed in the direction of his childhood home. "You mean the old man and the old woman?" "Yes." "Did they move away?" Jiang Hao nodded. Since he was here anyway, he wanted to see them. "They left a few years ago." The old man sighed. Jiang Hao lowered his head in thought. He thanked the old man and left. As he walked out of Fallen City, he glanced back. If this city also disappeared one day, what would be left of his past? People went through many things in their lives, and memories haunted them. Everyone had some regret that they couldn't overcome. The cultivation world was no different. Whenever he remembered his lowest point, he would look back at his roots and remember where he had come from. There was no other way but forward. The path of immortality was right before him. The past was best left behind. Life was for the living. Jiang Hao sighed heavily and took a step forward. At that moment, a light shone around him, and he disappeared from where he was. He was as bright as the sun and as fleeting as a speck of dust at that moment. Jiang Hao seemed to have learned a lot and learned nothing at the same time. However, the opportunity that Shang'an had given him had paved his path. It seemed like his power could burst out at any time. When he was back in the courtyard, Jiang Hao didn't go to the spirit herb garden right away. Instead, he sat under the peach tree and looked at the fruits. He felt that his power had become clearer and everything was within his grasp. Although it was strange, he seemed to have become stronger. His cultivation was more solid and refined than before. I wonder how long it will take the tree to bear fruit after becoming a divine tree. The thought troubled him. If it couldn't bear fruit once a year, should he just wait and do nothing? It takes that tree 3,000 years to bloom, another 3,000 years to bear fruit, and 3,000 years to mature, said a voice suddenly. Jiang Hao jumped up from the chair. He could smell the familiar scent even before he could see her. He turned around and saw Hong Yuye. Greetings, senior. Jiang Hao lowered his head and bowed. Hong Yuye looked at him. The bad luck on you is intense today. Jiang Hao was puzzled. He had not touched anything unlucky this time. Then he thought of the Shangwan clan. What did you do? Hong Yuye asked after sitting down. I went to Fallen City, Jiang Hao said. For what? Hong Yuye looked up at him. We first found the stone tablet in Fallen City. I want to see if I could find out anything more about it, said Jiang Hao. Hong Yuye nodded. What did you find? Nothing at the moment, Jiang Hao said. Hong Yuye chuckled. Then she asked about the gathering and learned about the Dragon Cave. The Dragon Cave is about to open? Yes, in the next month or two. Are you ready? Almost. Jiang Hao had done everything he could, but he was not as strong. No matter what he did, it was very difficult for him to accumulate 100 points in order to advance further. Therefore, he had to make do with whatever cultivation realm he was at the moment. As for the Mountain Sea Seal, it could be upgraded. If he sold some of his things overseas, he would be able to exchange them for a lot of spirit stones. It was definitely not enough for incarnation, but it was still possible to digest some of the Holy Master's divine soul. That way, his strength and power would increase by a lot, and the seal would be even more powerful. It would be useful when going to the Dragon Cave. Hong Yuye did not say anything. Jiang Hao, on the other hand, was making tea for her. She did not ask for September spring, so he brewed something else. The peach tree would take 3,000 years to bloom, 3,000 years to bear fruit, and another 3,000 years to mature. In total, 9 thought years. Was there really a need for incarnation if it took that long? It was useless even if he could become an immortal instantly. He would anyway be stronger in 9,000 years than he was at the moment. After pouring tea for Hong Yuye, Jiang Hao sat down and poured himself a cup. He was curious whether he could get more information on Hong Yuye if he appraised her. However, he never had the chance. He didn't dare to appraise her when she was awake. So, he had to wait until she fell asleep. He could appraise her when he was so deeply asleep that she couldn't hear him call her name. He had made it to the Immortal Ascension platform. It was possible that the appraisal might reveal more information about her. Hong Yuye took a sip of tea. Your sect is going to start the selection soon. Yes. Jiang Hao nodded. Do you want to participate? Yes. I also want to test my strength. Is that so? Are you confident in yourself? Jiang Hao thought for a moment. I'm not sure yet. Lately, I've been thinking of observing some seniors in the same realm as me. I've just advanced to the peak of the Golden Core realm, so I might not have an advantage. Hong Yuye laughed. Cautious as ever, I see. It's safer to be careful. Jiang Hao lowered his head. Overseas, in the Heavenly Tower, Mr. Tao walked to a pavilion and sat down. Zhu Shen followed him. Mr. Tao, the Dragon Cave is about to open. Shall we watch from afar? Mr. Tao nodded. Will the great 1,000 God sect succeed? Zhu Shen was curious. It's hard to say, but there should be quite a number of people entering that place. Everyone is confident. ITLL just depend on who loses in the end. But we still have to be careful. There might be some unusual changes in the Dragon Cave, Mr. Tao said after some thought. Zhu Shen was puzzled. Mr. Tao did not elaborate on it. Instead, he said, send a letter to the 12 Heavenly Kings. They have more information about the Dragon Clan. It might be helpful to us. Also, Ask them how we can contact the Saint Bandits. The 12 heavenly kings might not cooperate with us, said Zhu Shun awkwardly. Mr. Tao took out the 4 treasures of the study and wrote a letter. He handed it to Zhu Shun. Give them this. They will come to Heavenly Tower. You just need to tell them what we need. Zhu Shun took the envelope in disbelief. However, Mr. Tao never played around. It meant that Mr. Tao had a bargaining chip. Perhaps he knew how they could ascend to immortality. By the way, have you made arrangements for the Heavenly Spirit Tribe? Mr. Tao suddenly asked. Yes, they'll give it their all, Zhu Shun said. All right, we'll wait. Mr. Tao looked at the endless sea outside and sighed with emotion. He hoped that he wouldn't have to flee this time. For a moment, he understood how a certain someone felt. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 969. Did you do something again? In the Heavenly Spirit Tribe, a middle-aged man led a young man along the corridor outside a building by the sea. You've been dealing with a lot of things lately, the middle-aged man said calmly. His steps were steady, his eyes were cold, and he had a powerful presence. He was the current leader of the Heavenly Spirit Tribe. He was not the strongest in the Heavenly Spirit Tribe, but his leadership capabilities and his potential convinced everyone that he was the right person to follow. I did my best, said Tong Wu and lowered his head in respect. You're neither a pushover nor stubborn, just because you were chosen. As expected of someone from the Heavenly Spirit Tribe, said the leader and smiled. We will find a way to send your mother's memorial tablet to the Ancestral Hall. Although she was ordinary, her son is a prodigy. That'll be enough. However, you still lack an opportunity to do something that would affect the entire tribe. I hope you understand what I am saying. Tong Wu lowered his head and said gratefully, Thank you. I would rather die than refuse your instructions. All right, what you need to do now is to find the ancestral land, said the leader. You know that our Heavenly Spirit Tribe has 2 ancestral lands. One is known to us, but is extremely difficult to enter, and the other is unknown. It concerns the future of our tribe. You need to find that place. We only have a rough location of the place. We haven't been able to find it, let alone enter it. The place should be in that area. The leader pointed ahead. Will this ancestral land move again? Tong Wu was surprised. Yes, it might, and it's very difficult to know how or why. The things we know are because of the advantage of our bloodline. But still, we only have a rough idea, said the leader of the tribe. Tong Wu thought for a moment. It's not easy to find that place. Many places are forbidden to enter, especially for the tribe. Don't worry. As long as we seek it in peace, ITL open its doors for us. The leader chuckled. Just do your best to find it. All right. Tong Wu was excited. It'll not disappoint you. The leader laughed. All right. After Tong Wu left, the smile on the leader's face disappeared. Any thoughts? He asked. He seemed to be talking to himself. At that moment, a figure appeared in the shadow behind him. I can't see any flaws, but there must be a problem. He just doesn't know about it. Based on my findings, there are 2 possibilities. The first is that some people who can't bear to see us regain our members are causing trouble. The other is that some people believe we're incompetent and can't destroy divine items, so they send people to interfere. The tribe leader smiled. Let him search. Regardless of the possibilities, he probably doesn't know that the place is much more complicated to find than he expected. Entering it is the least of his problems. That place isn't for the Heavenly Spirit Tribe. Besides, he doesn't even know how to activate the divine item. All those techniques were lost 1,000 years ago. Even the Xinyuan clan's techniques are fake. The tribe leader looked disdainful. He was fearless. The next day, Jiang Hao watched Hong Yuya leave with some regret. She didn't leave last night, but she didn't fall asleep either. He did not have the chance to appraise her. However, he couldn't rush these things. Jiang Hao didn't dwell on it and left the courtyard. As soon as he went out, he saw the spirit beast face down near the river. Its face was swollen and bruised. When it saw Jiang Hao, it said, Master, you're shameless. Jiang Hao looked at the beast in confusion. Why do I, Lord Beast, suffer whenever she comes to visit you? She has no respect for me. Jiang Hao sighed. It was wailing about its bruised face again. Master, you have to work hard. Why don't you find a mistress who is sweet and can birth a little version of you? At least, people will respect me then, said the spirit beast. Jiang Hao looked at it without saying anything. He chuckled and walked toward the spirit her garden. He asked about the 9 nether. Little Wang already knows how to bark. It helps Shaoli look after the courtyard at night. It bites those who are unfamiliar, said the spirit beast. Jiang Hao was a little surprised. The 9 nether had changed so much. When Shaoli arrived at the spirit her garden, Jiang Hao saw that there was a little black puppy following her. It ate the weeds and wagged its tail. It was a little bigger than before. Perhaps it wouldn't take long for it to become a grown dog. However, it fed on the spirit, and if it wanted to become stronger, it needed to feed on the spirit continuously. It was not that easy to become stronger. However, 9 nether had an advantage in terms of mental fortitude. Perhaps he could take it along to the dragon cave. That way, even if there were traps, Jiang Hao would be able to deal with them. He still needed Hong Yuyi's help for that. He suddenly remembered that the 1 heart palm was still imprinted on his chest from the time he went to the blood pool. The effects of the 1 heart palm were much more powerful than he had expected. Jiang Hao stopped thinking about it and waited for the dragon cave to open. A month later, around the end of September, Jiang Hao saw a message from Lu on the stone tablet. The dragon cave was about to open. Many people had already started to head there. Jiang Hao knew that it was time for him to go too. He sighed and opened his interface. He wanted to see how far he was from advancing to the next stage. Name, Jiang Hao. Age, 42. Cultivation, peak of the Immortal Ascension platform. Cultivation method, Heavenly Sound 100 revolutions. Hong Ming Heart Sutra, divine ability. 9 revolutions death substitution. Unique, daily appraisal, clear and pure heart. Reappearance of hidden spirit, divine might. Revival of withered tree, heavenly cauldron. Indestructible Vajra, myriad nature forest. Lifeblood, 28 of 100 can be cultivated. Cultivation, 27/100 can be cultivated. Divine abilities, 0/3 cannot be obtained. There's still a lot to cover. He did not know how long it would take for him to advance. I have to find out what the Immortal Ascension Conference will be like as soon as possible. That information could not be found in the library pavilion. The level was too high. Even if he could find something, it would only be a few words and would not be of much help to him. He had to ask Hong Yuye or Gu Jin. He could ask Hong Yuye anytime. Gu Jin, on the other hand, was elusive. Speaking of which, why hasn't Feng Hua made a sound lately? Jiang Hao suddenly realized that Feng Hua had been very quiet. Hai Ming had not come over to meet him. It was as if he did not take Jiang Hao seriously anymore. It was as if he was forgotten. Meanwhile, he saw Gu Wei and Zhang chatting on the stone tablet. They mentioned that Yin Shang had disappeared, and the Sunset Immortal Sect was searching for her. Jiang Hao was puzzled. However, at that moment, a gust of wind blew past. A fragrance wafted along with the wind. Jiang Hao, who had been looking at the stone tablet, was shocked. He looked back and felt a surge of power. When he saw who it was, his aura instantly disappeared. Did you do something again? Hong Yuye sneered. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 970. The Demoness is surprised her long hair swayed in the wind. He had not noticed her arrival, but there was an unfamiliar fragrance in the air. He had activated the Heavenly Cauldron instantly as a defense. The 9 Heavens battle armor immediately reacted. He had almost activated the golden rings to escape. There was a golden ring in the Astronomical Academy. That would be the best place to seek refuge in. There was one overseas as well. He didn't dare to enter the corpse realm yet. However, when he saw it was just Hong Yuye, he calmed down. He hadn't done anything wrong. The fragrance was unfamiliar, so he had become defensive. Senior, you must be joking. Then, He offered Hong Yi a seat. He then started to make tea. How many divine powers did you use just then? Hong Yi asked with interest. Senior, you're always sharp as usual. I used two, he said truthfully. How about that? Hong Yi looked at Jiang Hao's armor. It's a treasure that was given to me by the sect, Jiang Hao said. Your sect seems to treat you quite well. He felt like she was implying something with those words. Jiang Hao immediately said, I can't compare to even 1,000th of your strength, senior. Hong Yi chuckled. Then, he started drinking tea. Jiang Hao heaved a sigh of relief. He understood what she meant. If he decided to follow the sect and do things for them just because he received gifts, he would be in trouble. Regardless of what she was thinking, he was on her side. Whatever she gave him was extraordinary. Whether it was the 7 forms of Heavenly Blade, the Nameless Manual, or the Light and Dust technique, they had helped him become powerful. The Divine God pills she gave him had saved his life many times. Come here, Hong Yi suddenly said. Jiang Hao didn't dare hesitate. He leaned over. At that moment, Hong Yi raised her hand and pressed it on his chest. He felt a familiar stinging pain. It was the one heart palm. A moment later, the pain disappeared, and Hong Yi withdrew her hand. Jiang Hao heaved a sigh of relief. He had not been sent flying this time. What were you looking at just now? Hong Yi asked. I was watching the people on the stone tablet. They mentioned the Dragon Cave and Feng Hua's avatar. The Dragon Cave is about to open, and some people are heading there. Meanwhile, Feng Hua's avatar has disappeared. It might be related to her main body. This might be our chance, Jiang Hao said. He really wanted to get rid of Feng Hua once and for all. She was too dangerous. She might attack Xiao Li and the others for revenge. However, no one could find her. It was puzzling why her avatar had disappeared so suddenly. Are you ready to go overseas? Hong Yi asked. There's still one last thing I need to prepare, he said. He told her about the 9 nether. Hong Yi refused to help this time. She said he could just take Xiao Li's little dog with him. Jiang Hao was puzzled. Hong Yi looked at him. Too much consciousness will cause chaos in the netherworld. Jiang Hao knew about that. However, he could not stay in the Dragon Cave for too long. Since Hong Yi said so, he had no choice. It seemed that he had to borrow little Wang from Xiao Li. After all, after confirming that they would set off in 2 days, Hong Yi asked curiously, Aren't you going to compete for the top disciple's position? You said you wanted to test yourself. Jiang Hao took out his notebook. He opened it and showed her the list of 6 people. Senior, please take a look at this. There are 6 people in total. Senior sister Dew of the White Moon Lake is skilled in the 5 elements. She has been at the peak of the Golden Core realm for a long time now and is only 2 to 3 years away from advancing further. There is also Law Enforcement Hall's senior brother who. It is said that he is the number 1 person in the primordial spirit realm and is proficient in the art of thunder. In the Heavenly Joy Pavilion, Hong Yi looked at the list in surprise. It was even more surprising that Jiang Hao had done his due diligence in finding out so much about his opponents. Senior, do you think I have a chance of winning? Jiang Hao asked after a short while. Hong Yi looked carefully at the person in front of her and drank her tea without saying a word. 3 days later, Jiang Hao received a mission from the task hall. The deadline was 3 months. He also handed over the remaining spirit stones from before. Don't worry, junior brother Jiang, said the senior sister who was always at the reception. You can hand it in next time. Jiang Hao chuckled and thanked her. He went to the Lawless Tower, but did not see the lantern bearer. It seemed that he was taken to the upper floor at the last minute because of his special talent. Jiang Hao did not find out much about that. He was leaving today. He found Cheng Cho and briefed him on the matters of the garden. Cheng Cho nodded. Then, he hesitated. Senior brother Jiang, many people have been talking about you these days. The rumor is that you're using the Blood Wish path to get stronger and participate in the selection round. They also say that you intend to use that path to deceive people. Everyone thinks it's lowly to exchange and shorten one's lifespan to advance further in cultivation. The spiritual energy is dark and chaotic, but weak. They say you aren't qualified to compete with the others. If such a person as yourself got selected, it would be a disgrace to others. They say you should give up on the selection round. Cheng Cho sounded angry. He trusted Jiang Hao and knew that he wasn't following the Blood Wish path. He wanted to fight back, but he needed Jiang Hao's consent. Don't mind them. Let them say whatever they want. As long as they don't do anything, there is no need to care. If anyone does anything while I'm away, find senior brother Mu Qi, Jiang Hao said. All right, Cheng Cho nodded. Cheng Cho was curious why Jiang Hao wasn't more frustrated. He always accepted everything calmly. He wouldn't be able to do that. Jiang Hao did not say anything further. He had many things to worry about, and the people spreading rumors about him were the last on his list. He did not care for them. After that, he went to senior brother Mu Qi's residence and began to set up the Mountain Sea Seal. He was worried that the Holy Master might come back to attack them. When he was around, he could help them. It would be too late if the enemy attacked when he was too far away. Besides, if he suppressed the immortal seed, many enemies would attack the sect. This time, the mark he set up was stronger than before. After everything was done, he asked to borrow Little Wong and left the Heavenly Note sect. He disappeared from his spot. On the other side, Ming Yi woke up from her cultivation. She touched the area between her eyebrows and trembled in fear. How should I stop him? She knew that Miao Tinglian could help her, but she had refused to even acknowledge her. So Ming Yi had no choice. Mu Qi's strength was too great for her to make a move. There was still room for negotiation. If she recklessly attacked them, there would be no room for compromise. He sighed wearily and decided to visit the Spirit Her Garden. Perhaps she could use Jiang Hao's help. He did seem close with Mu Qi and Miao Tinglian. As long as he asked for help, they would agree. However, when she arrived at the garden, the spirit beast said, Master has gone out. Ming Yi sighed. Every time she visited, Jiang Hao seemed out. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 971. The demoness was staring at him versus in the backyard of the Shangwan clan. The waves surged and crashed against the mountain. At that moment, a figure walked out from inside. Looks like this place is well protected. Jiang Hao looked around and saw that there was an array covering the area, and many people were patrolling it. He was quite surprised. They were feeling better. There was a new power growing in their bodies. What has happened? It wasn't like that when he was helping Shangwan Qingsu. At that moment, he felt a sharp pain in his chest, and then a red and white figure appeared beside him. It was Hong Yuya. Jiang Hao bowed. Greetings, senior. Hong Yuya also saw the people below and frowned. Jiang Hao felt that she was also surprised at their rebirth. This place is ominous, Hong Yuya said coldly. That made sense. This place had been cursed for numerous years. It was indeed unlucky. The people were born with a curse that they couldn't escape. Bad luck was inevitable here. Jiang Hao didn't stay any longer and left with Hong Yuya. He had reached a very high realm. He was even more impressive under the sunlight. His state of mind was clear. Nothing could affect him. It was extraordinary. When he reappeared, he was on the surface of the sea. He had to find a place to ask around about the Dragon Cave. It should not be that difficult. However, out of curiosity, he asked about the Shangwan clan. New power. Hong Yuya looked at him. It's not something new. That is the power of the Longevity clan that remains suppressed because of the curse. You helped get rid of their curse, so their power is recovering. Will they be very powerful in the future? Jiang Hao asked. If the curse doesn't linger, I think so, Hong Yuya said calmly. The stronger they get, the less willing they'll be to remain restrained. They should even be able to escape control in the future, Jiang Hao said seriously. He had wanted to use the Shangwan clan to help complete Hong Yui's task. He needed to find another reason to keep them bound. Otherwise, it would be difficult to explain to Hong Yuya why he needed them. Hong Yuya looked at the person in front of her and chuckled. After flying for some distance, Jiang Hao found that there were no islands around. It was surprising. It seemed that he might not find anyone to ask about the cave. He took out a bell. Tang had given it to him. He shook it. The crisp sound spread. After a while, a woman flew over on her sword. She was in her early 30s and was dressed in luxurious clothes. Her hair was fitted into a bun. She was in the middle stage of the soul ascension realm. When she saw Jiang Hao, she greeted him respectfully. "Fellow disciple, are you looking for the heavenly tower?" Mg Wellon, the wanderer of the heavenly tower. Jiang Hao smiled. "We want to know where the Dragon Cave is." "Dragon Cave?" said Ji Wellon. "What do you plan to use in exchange for that information? Also, it would be great if you could drop your name." The folding fan opened, and the words Smiling San Sheng flashed on it. "Do you still want me to announce my name?" Smiling San Sheng? Ji Wellon was a bit surprised. "Forgive me, senior." To show her sincerity, Ji Wellon told him the location of the cave and even gave him a map. She also told him some other secrets. The secret was that the Dragon Cave was not all it seemed. It was a trap. Jiang Hao paid her 5,000 spirit stones. There were still 130,000 spirit stones left with him. The spirit stones bought him a map of the overseas islands. He asked her about the powerful individuals that might be around the Dragon Cave. The information she gave him was very detailed. It was a pity the gathering didn't depend on exchanging spirit stones. He would have been rich if that were the case. "Senior, are you going to Colored Glass Island now? It will take a long time to get there. If you're in a hurry, you can take a boat." Ji Wellon pointed in the distance. "There's a small island there. A ship will arrive there soon. You'll probably reach Colored Glass Island in 2 days." "When will the Dragon Cave open?" Jiang Hao asked. "In at least half a month," Ji Wellon said. Jiang Hao nodded. Since that was the case, he would go to the ship first. That way, he could find out more. After a while, they reached a small island. Jiang Hao looked down. In the blink of an eye, a huge wooden boat rose from the depths of the sea and stopped in front of the island. "We're here," Ji Wellon said seriously. "Senior, please follow me." Jiang Hao was a little surprised that they were actually walking at the bottom of the sea. The previous ship had not dived to the bottom of the sea. It was dangerous for a ship to be underwater. He did not know which sect or organization the ship belonged to. However, it was simple enough to board. No one was there to ask for spirit stones as fees. They did have to buy a token to get off the ship, though. It was indeed much more practical than that ship he had boarded, which belonged to the end of all things. It cost him a total of 6,000 spirit stones. Jiang Hao felt that it was easy for these people to earn spirit stones in this way. 3,000, he might not even be able to earn it in a month. Jiang Hao sighed and walked to the deck. At that time, the ship had already entered the seabed. The power of the formation was evident in the surroundings. He traveled quickly in the water as if he had entered an uninhabited land. Jiang Hao sighed with emotion. He had never seen the underwater world before. It was not endless darkness. A faint blue light illuminated the surroundings. "I heard that this path will pass by the land of Saint Bandits," said a middle-aged man as he walked to Jiang Hao's side with a smile. "I haven't seen you here before, fellow disciple. Is this your first time in this area?" "I think so." Jiang Hao smiled and nodded. "We can really pass by the Saint Bandits?" "Fellow disciple, do you know about the figure that appeared at the bottom of the sea?" "It's said to be related to a certain sect in the south," said the middle-aged man. "Yeah." Jiang Hao nodded. "I've heard a thing or two about it. I also heard it was around here." "Yes, this is the place." The middle-aged man nodded. "That's why this place is called Saint Bandits Land. Perhaps this place connects the Saint Bandits and also the south." "Can this place be connected to the exact location of the Saint Bandits?" asked a voice from afar. A woman walked over. "Although the Saint Bandits are in the sea, their location is not fixed. This place might not connect to the real location of the Saint Bandits." Jiang Hao looked at her in surprise. It was Nangong Yu from the Lawless Tower. She was a part of the Heavenly Spirit Tribe and a Saint Bandit. He did not expect her to be here. "Then, how we get to where the Saint Bandits are?" asked the middle-aged man. "There's no way. The Saint Bandits are sealed off. No one can reach them. Of course, it's not impossible to find them if you have a certain ability," said Nangong Yu. Jiang Hao was stunned. He stole a glance at Hong Yuye and realized that she was also looking at him. Her eyes seemed to suggest something. Jiang Hao was speechless. Was the special ability the Heaven Lock technique? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 972. Releasing the Nine Nether among the Saint Bandits. The most outstanding thing was not their members or their ideals. It was the Heaven Lock technique that could support all theories. Even if the current members of the Saint Bandits could steal some people's talents, they could also give them strength. However, compared to the Heaven Lock technique, there was a world of difference. The person who could find the Saint Bandits must have learned the Heaven Lock technique. From all aspects, once one learned the Heaven Lock technique, they would have a high status among the Saint Bandits. You know quite a lot about them. May I know where you are from? Asked the middle-aged man curiously. I'm from the Heavenly Spirit Tribe, Nan Gong Yu said coldly. The land of Saint Bandits is extremely sacred. It's best not to talk too much about it. Otherwise, it'll cause trouble. The middle-aged man nodded. Then, he left silently. Jiang Hao looked at Nan Gong Yu curiously. Are you a Saint Bandit? Nan Gong Yu was shocked when she heard his words. She had never seen anyone so bold as to disregard others and call her out. Nan Gong Yu ignored him and turned to leave. Jiang Hao watched as she walked away to meet up with an old woman. She might also be a member of the Saint Bandits. Peak of the Soul Ascension Realm. How long has it been? She has already recovered so much of her strength. Jiang Hao was surprised. The cultivation realm of the Saint Bandits recovered very quickly. Jiang Hao stopped paying attention to the other party and turned to the person beside him. He asked curiously, Senior, do you know where the land of Saint Thieves is? Han Ye glanced at him but did not speak. Jiang Hao didn't ask anything further. There were many strange things in the depths of the sea, such as the sea monsters that suddenly swam past the fierce beasts with many tentacles. It reminded him of the sea monsters in the sea fog cave. They seemed to hold grudges. It had been a long time since they last met. He wondered if the other party still hated him. There was no way to tell whether it was day or night at the bottom of the sea. Only when they reached the shore would they know what the weather was like outside. They could avoid storms easily at the bottom of the sea. Sometimes they would see the deep sea freeze like a stream extending into the distance. While Jiang Hao was admiring the scenery, he suddenly heard a low roar. He turned around and found that someone's spirit pet was walking on the deck. It had spiritual flames burning on his body. Its cultivation realm was not high, but its aura was extraordinary. It must be an amazing spirit pet. It looked like a lion, but had yet to mature. It was staring at a young girl. It looked like it was on a hunt and was ready to pounce at any moment. The girl retreated in fear and quickly asked for help. An old man stood in front of the girl. He used a spell to attack the spirit pet. However, the spirit pet was wild and difficult to tame. It suddenly attacked. Boom! Another spell collided with it. The spirit pet was sent flying. Its eyes filled with anger. When others heard a commotion, a woman walked out from inside the small room. Seeing the spirit pet in a sorry state, anger rose in her heart. Who injured my spirit pet? Senior, I didn't hurt your spirit pet, but it attacked this little girl. We were only trying to defend ourselves, said the old man hurriedly. Why would it attack if you didn't do anything? Said the woman. You must have done something. I really only pushed it back a little. I didn't do anything to harm it, said the old man. He was still shielding the young girl. Pushed it back? And you have the gall to say you didn't do anything at all, said the woman coldly. Senior, I'm sorry, but your pet attacked us first, said the young girl after mustering up her courage. This spirit pet of mine likes to purify its spirit. It was only looking at you. It would never stack anyone. Even the owner of the ship knows this. Who attacked my pet and crippled its hand? Shouted the woman. In an instant, 2 guards behind the woman walked out and arrived in front of the old man in the blink of an eye. One of the guards pulled the old man's arm and twisted it behind his back. There was a crack and some blood. The guard pulled the arm apart and threw it into the sea. There was a scream, and the young girl started crying. The woman slapped the young girl across the face. Please, let us go, said the girl and begged. Let you go, the woman said in a low voice. Do you see what you did to my spirit pet? How are you going to pay for it? The people watching did not interfere. Jiang Hao crouched down and looked at the proud lion in the distance. Then, he gathered a wisp of his spirit. It was pure and flawless. Sure enough, the creature instantly turned to him and quickly walked over. It looked very aggressive, as though it would pounce any minute. Jiang Hao smiled and let little Wang out. The latter was a little confused, but saw the spirit pet in front of it. Its eyes emitted a golden light. It looked at Jiang Hao. "Eat, it's already delivered to your doorstep," Jiang Hao said gently. The moment it saw little Wang, the spirit pet trembled. It looked terrified. It screamed and wanted to escape. However, little Wang pounced on him. In an instant, it bit off half of the spirit pet's body. The sharp screams were deafening. It attracted everyone's attention. The woman looked over and saw that half of her spirit pet had been eaten. It was looking at her for help. It looked at her in despair, and then, bam, a large black dog swallowed her spirit pet in one go. For a moment, it became eerily silent. The sudden change left everyone in disbelief. Nangon Yu felt her scalp go numb as she watched the scene. Jiang Hao waved his hand, and the black dog returned to his hand. He grabbed the black dog's fur. "Whose spirit pet is that? Why didn't you take care of it? Now, my little Wang is gone and eaten it. What am I to do if little Wang gets indigestion?" At that moment, the woman looked over at him. She was trembling in anger. She gritted her teeth. "Kill him. Tear him into pieces." In an instant, the two guards whistled past like black shadows. Just when everyone thought that everything was over, a saber light swept across the area. Boom! In an instant, the guard exploded. His guts and blood sprayed all around the deck. The woman was shocked. She looked around, but didn't see Jiang Hao. "Are you looking for me?" said a voice near her ear. The woman turned and looked behind her. When she saw Jiang Hao smiling, she trembled in fear. Then, a blade light swept across her eyes. A cold and mocking voice reached her ears. "Take proper care of your spirit pets next time. Otherwise, you'll be very displeased." The woman could not react. In the end, she fell unconscious. Everything had happened so fast. She thought there was no one on the ship stronger than her, but she was wrong. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 973, Demonis. Were you pretending just now? The people watching were shocked at all the blood on the deck. The old man who had lost an arm was even more terrified. The girl behind him was also afraid. After hesitating for a long time, the old man finally said, "Senior, you shouldn't have killed her. She's chill." Jiang Hao put his finger to his lips. "Don't tell me who she is. I simply don't care." The words shocked everyone. They weren't shocked by his name, but by his words. He didn't care who she was, but he had killed her. They had never seen such arrogance before. Nangon Yu looked at smiling Sansheng. She had never seen such a crazy person before. He was reckless and unpredictable. Such people were not to be trifled with. It was no wonder he dared to ask her if she was a saint bandit. Smiling Sansheng, she didn't know much about him, but she remembered where she had heard his name before. For a moment, she was curious. If such a person was taken to the Lawless Tower, would he be stronger than Hai Luo? Nangon Yu shook her head at the thought. However, King Hai Luo couldn't get out. If he did, who knew what he would do? Would he act like he did on the 5th floor of the tower? Or would he try not to stir up trouble? "He is in trouble now," the old woman said. "Why? Was she someone powerful?" Nangon Yu asked. "No, it's because the ship doesn't allow killing," said the old woman as she looked at smiling Sansheng. "He just killed 3 people in an instant. He won't be allowed to stay abroad unless he wants to create trouble with the owners of the ship." Jiang Hao also felt a powerful pressure. He felt the gaze of that old woman. The guardians of the ship might be arriving at the scene soon, too. Sure enough, footsteps came from the cabin. A middle-aged man with a powerful aura walked out. The deep sea seemed to be surging behind him. The moment he saw the person, Jiang Hao knew that this person's strength was connected to the sea. The deep sea was definitely his home ground. He was at the peak of the immortal ascension platform. He was in the same realm as Jiang Hao. He couldn't help but sigh. Wasn't it a waste for such a powerful person to be on the ship? Smiling Sansheng, said the middle-aged man. That's me. Jiang Hao opened his folding fan. You can't kill someone on this ship. It's one of the rules, the middle-aged man said. Fellow disciple, you must be joking. I saw no written rules when I boarded the ship, said Jiang Hao. The middle-aged man lowered his head and smiled. Well, now you know. After saying that, the middle-aged man turned around and walked into the cabin. It meant that he wouldn't let it go the next time. Jiang Hao was a little surprised. He had thought that he would be made to get off, at the very least. He did not expect the other party to just let it be. Jiang Hao was surprised. The others were shocked too. Many powerful people had done the same, and they'd been dealt with. Why had the captain just let it go? Jiang Hao returned to Hong Yuyi's side, only to see her staring at him. Is there something on my face, senior? Jiang Hao asked softly. Were you pretending just now? Hong Yuyi asked. Senior, you already know the answer. I'm the least arrogant person, but smiling Sansheng is the complete opposite. I have no choice but to keep up the pretense. Hong Yuyi chuckled, but did not pay much attention to it. Instead, she turned to look outside. The sea view here was indeed strange. That night, Jiang Hao received an invitation from the captain to join him in the cabin. He didn't refuse. After a while, he arrived in a quaint little room. A middle-aged man was at the table making tea. Jiang Hao and Hong Yuyi entered. Please take a seat, said the captain. After they were seated, the middle-aged man said, This tea is called the deep-pointed tea. It's a deep-sea spirit tea. Not only is it difficult to grow, but the production is also very small. Only a bit is harvested in over 10 years. But it's worth the wait. Please try it. Jiang Hao was a little surprised. From the aroma, he could tell that this tea wasn't inferior to September spring at all. From the spiritual energy circulating in the tea, he could tell that it was even more impressive than September spring. He picked up the teacup and took a sip. A coolness spread throughout his body. It made him feel as if he was in the endless deep sea. His mind was calm. This tea was extraordinary. He realized something. He put down the cup. This is good tea. I'm glad you liked it, said the middle-aged man with a smile. Let me introduce myself. I'm Sita Wudao. Smiling Sansheng, said Jiang Hao. Are you going to Color Glass Island? Sita Wudao raised his teacup and asked. Yes. Jiang Hao nodded. Are you going to Dragon Cave? Sita Wudao asked. Jiang Hao didn't answer. Do you know that it's a trap? Asked Sita Wudao. If you intend to enter it anyway, I can help you a little. A favor. Jiang Hao stared at him. Sita Wudao took out a scale. This is a dragon scale, a rather special one. It has the will of a true dragon and can lead you to the correct path. Maybe you can avoid the trap in that way. In exchange, I want one of the pills that is inside. If there's no pill, there should be some information. What kind of pill is it? Jiang Hao asked curiously. Scarlet Feather Divine Pill, Sita Wudao said. Jiang Hao was a little surprised. He slowly said, The Scarlet Feather Divine Pill can nourish the primordial spirit, dispel evil, remove curses, and eliminate inner demons. As long as there's a wisp of breath, it can save your life. Sita Wudao was surprised. You are very knowledgeable, fellow disciple. I used it once before, said Jiang Hao. Hong Yuyi had given it to him, but he didn't say that. He was a little puzzled. The Scarlet Feather Divine Pill was ineffective against the Dragon Clan. Why would it be in the Dragon Cave? He asked a few more questions. He realized that the other party only wanted to make a deal. He didn't want to go in, and it would be a waste to keep the dragon scales. So, he thought it would be better to let someone go in. Once he obtained the Scarlet Feather Divine Pill, he would win big. Jiang Hao didn't mind. Having the dragon scales was a good thing for him. However, that was not enough. He still needed the other party to help him with something. On the deck, the old woman stood with Nan Gongyu. We have to find a way to travel with smiling Sansheng, said the old woman. Why? I feel that he is a little dangerous. Nan Gongyu is unwilling to join him. It's very likely that he's also trying to enter the Dragon Cave. Perhaps we can help each other out. He definitely doesn't have the information we have. As Saint Bandits, we have a special way to enter. No matter how powerful Smiling Sansheng is, he won't be able to understand the Saint Bandits' methods. We simply can't fail this time. We need his help. I just don't know what will happen if we cooperate with such a reckless person. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 974. Smiling Sansheng is the most untrustworthy. What would happen if she cooperated with Smiling Sansheng? The other party was unpredictable and did not care about others. He did whatever he wanted. Making a deal with him would provoke many powerful enemies. It was dangerous. That was what Nan Gongyu felt from what she knew so far. It was risky to work with him. However, there was a benefit. He wasn't an ordinary person. The Dragon Cave was a trap set up by the Great Thousand God sect. Although people like Smiling Sansheng were scary, there must be something special about him. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so bold. Some people were arrogant because they were stupid, while others were arrogant because they had something up their sleeve. Smiling Sansheng might have something up his sleeve. While they were still discussing, Smiling Sansheng walked out onto the deck. Jiang Hao heaved a sigh of relief. He had wanted to find a place to get rid of the things on him. Sita Wu Dao could buy it from him. When he took out the item, the other party was stunned. They were all things related to the fallen immortal clan. For a moment, he was reluctant to buy them because the fallen immortal clan was unpredictable. Luckily, the items were not very extraordinary. In the end, Jiang Hao received 460,000 spirit stones. From the looks of it, these people weren't that rich. However, it did not matter anymore. He had a total of 580,000 spirit stones. He was still about 170,000 more away from completely digesting the Holy Master's divine soul. He hesitated for a while. He decided to find a place to spend 500,000 spirit stones first. This way, the power of the mountain sea seal would far exceed that of the peak of a mortal ascension platform. The power would stack. The second form of Heavenly Blade would be extremely powerful then. The seal was extraordinarily powerful. The benefits of 1,000,000 spirit stones were far greater than the spirit stones themselves. It was a pity that he didn't have more divine souls. It would be a good thing if the Holy Master went after Senior Sister Miao. However, he had to give himself some time. Otherwise, Senior Sister Miao would be in danger. He didn't want anything to happen to Senior Brother Mu Qi and Senior Sister Miao. They were very good to him. He had brought Miao Tinglian into the sect, so they felt indebted to him. They treated him well. He noticed that Hong Ye hadn't touched the tea. Before he left, he made another request. He asked if he could have some of that tea. The captain agreed. Jiang Hao wasn't a person who liked to take advantage of others. Since the deal had been made, he would try his best to fulfill it. The ship was almost there. As he came out of the cabin, Nan Gongyu and the old woman walked over to him. "Fellow disciple, please wait a moment," said the old woman politely. "I'm Nan Gonghua, and this is my niece, Nan Gongyu. I was wondering if we could have a word." At that moment, the ship had already arrived at Color Glass Island. Jiang Hao said, "What do you want to talk about?" "Fellow disciple, are you going to the Dragon Cave?" asked Nan Gonghua. "Let me guess. You don't want me to go in?" Jiang Hao held Hong Yu's hand and leaped on his sword. Nan Gongyu and Nan Gongyu were surprised. This person had already established that they were the Saint Bandits. "How'd he know?" "You must be joking, fellow disciple. You're free to go wherever you want. I just feel that there are some things that we might be able to help with. We have our limitations, but we hope to travel with you," said the old woman. Jiang Hao stopped and looked at the two people. He thought for a moment. "You want to make a deal? Is there something special inside?" "We can help you avoid the traps," said Nan Gongyu. Jiang Hao nodded. "Do you know anything about the Heavenly Spirit tribe?" The two of them were a little puzzled, but they nodded. "I remember that there is a divine item that can suppress the immortal seed. Do you know where it is?" Jiang Hao asked. "It's on Ancestral Land, but that place keeps moving. Even the Heavenly Spirit tribe doesn't know its exact location. They can only try to find it," said Nan Gonghua. "If you need it, we can get someone to help search for it. In addition, we can also help collect information about the inside of that place. ITLL be fast. Please rest assured, fellow disciple. Also, we'll definitely be prevented from entering by many people. We can lend you our strength. I'm also referring to the people behind us. Please believe in our strength. Jiang Hao was speechless. He felt that they were trying to get him to work with them. But that was good. That way, his chances of entering the ancestral land to find the divine item would be higher. Although Xing had prepared a lot, he had the backing of Liu and Senior Dan Yuan. However, he was facing the Heavenly Spirit Tribe, Heavenly Saint Sect, and Fallen Immortal Race together. They were the three major forces. It was better to fight them with the help of the Saint Bandits. Then, let's see how sincere you are in your offer. They'll wait a few days, Jiang Hao said with a smile. Then he left. He needed to find an inn. At the pier of the ship, Situ Wudao watched smiling Sansheng leave. Is he reliable? Asked a pale woman who walked out from the shadows. Her hair was tied up in a simple bun. She was so skinny that it felt like a gust of wind would blow her away. Situ Wudao shook his head. You can't trust him. I'm just taking a gamble. I heard about smiling Sansheng before. He cannot be restrained. There's a high chance that he won't give me the Scarlet Feather God pill, even if he finds it. Then, why did you give him the dragon scale? The woman sighed. I have 3. I can make a deal with 3 people. I came here to look for suitable people. He had gambled with 3 people. All he had to do was wait. Among the 3, smiling Sansheng was the most reckless and untrustworthy. I'm worried that he might just kill us if he feels like it, said Situ Wudao. Of course, it remains to be seen whether he can get the Scarlet Feather Divine Pill. What? The woman was furious. She took deep breaths. It looked like she was going to faint. Situ Wudao was shocked and immediately comforted her. Smiling Sansheng was his biggest gamble because he was most likely to get the Scarlet Feather Divine Pill. However, it was difficult to know whether he would keep his promise. In short, there was hope even if it was a slim one. In a courtyard on Color Glass Island, Tanya suddenly woke up. She looked outside. My people have sent news. It's smiling Sansheng. He disappeared for many years. Why is he suddenly active again? Zhu Shun poured tea for Mr. Tao. Looks like he's here for the Dragon Cave. He's probably going in. Mr. Tao put down the book and stood up. Let's go. Let's take a walk and see if we can bump into him. I think he needs information. That was my trader, though, Tanya said immediately. Mr. Tao smiled and had no intention of arguing with her. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 975. What Virtues and Abilities? The Astronomical Academy in the north, Yin Yuezhi, stood at the entrance and looked into the distance. According to the news, the people from the Heavenly Note sect were coming. She was there to look at the name list. She wanted to verify something. The matter was not very important, but the one related to the people she had saved might be visiting too. They had gradually settled down in the academy. However, they did not have much freedom. It was only natural to check if the person related to them was coming. After a while, a flying magic treasure approached from afar. Soon, the magic weapon landed on the ground, and the group of people walked to the gate of the academy. The Heavenly Note sect has arrived, said a middle-aged man respectfully. Yin Yuezhi walked over to them. She appeared dignified and classy in her dress. There was no divine light emitting from her, but no one underestimated her power. She looked at the list and saw Xiao Cheng's name at the end. After that, she stepped aside and let the Heavenly Note sect in. Xiao Cheng was Mangu's former name. You can visit many other places besides the backyard, Yin Yuezhi said. Please don't worry about anything. The middle-aged man in the lead bowed his head and thanked her. The Academy's strength far exceeded theirs. After all, an immortal sect was an immortal sect. The difference was too great. Behind him, Mangu lowered his head and held back his excitement. Yin Yuezhi didn't wait for the others and entered the academy. She told the logistics staff to give a certain person a few days off. After that, she went straight back to her own courtyard. She read a book and relaxed. A peaceful aura surrounded her. She was getting stronger every moment. At the logistics department of the Astronomical Academy, Sang Xiu asked for a few days off too. Many people from various places would be arriving soon. She was somewhat expectant but also a little bit afraid. She was worried her anticipation would be in vain. She secretly wanted to sneak off to the guest house to take a look. She just wanted to see if he was there. However, she could not leave. She could only wait to be assigned to serve tea to the guests. She went to request the manager to see if she could do that. It was actually very difficult, but she wanted to give it a try. However, when she found the manager, she was stunned at his words. "Serve tea? You don't know?" "Huh?" Sang Shio was at a loss. "Senior Yin has asked me to give you a few days off. She has also allowed you to visit any place you want. The only thing you can't do is leave the academy. Also, you need to go to the academy's office to get yourself a dress," said the manager. "May I ask, how is Senior Yin related to you?" Sang Shio was also at a loss. She did not know how to answer that. Senior Yin treated her so well. Sang Shio teared up a bit. She did not know how to repay Senior Yin. That also confirmed that the person she had been waiting for was here. Otherwise, Senior Yin would not have made such arrangements for her. That night, Sang Shio saw a black-robed man in the courtyard. He stood there. When the hood of the black robe fell, their eyes met. It was as though the world had ceased to exist. In Colored Glass Island, Jiang Hao sat cross-legged inside a formation in and near a river. At that moment, the power of the divine soul surged in the array formation, and spiritual energy surged into it. The soul was being absorbed rapidly. At the same time, a power surged in the middle of Jiang Hao's forehead. It was gradually solidifying and becoming vast. The power of the mountains and seas surged. The power spread out. It did not leak out of the array. As time passed, the divine soul of the Holy Master became thinner and thinner until only a quarter of it was left. Only then did the formation dim down. The power of the mountain and sea in front of Jiang Hao's forehead also slowly dissipated. When he opened his eyes, they held authority. The suppressive force was palpable. "It's very strong." Jiang Hao stood up and clenched his fists. He could sense that the mountain sea seal would be able to suppress the surrounding area with immense power. Moreover, the attack of the mountain sea seal was extraordinarily strong. It had already far surpassed the peak of the immortal ascension platform. If the Holy Master had more divine souls, he would be invincible. Jiang Hao sighed and left the room. He wanted to find out more about the Dragon Cave and the experts who were involved. It was good to be on guard. The Dragon Cave was a trap set by the Great Thousand God sect. The things inside would definitely attract some experts. No matter what, return to Void Realm would not be enough to go there. The Chaos Strong Island was closed off. The Island Master was at the early stage of the Immortal Ascension platform. I wonder if I can still go there. He remembered that Madame Gong was still there. He could ask her. There was also a true dragon. Unfortunately, true dragons could not communicate in human language. Creak. The door creaked open. A black dog got up and wagged its tail. His dark fur was shiny, and he was much taller than before. Perhaps it was because it had eaten a good meal before. The nine nethers seemed to have gained some intelligence. "You're quite sensible." It didn't run away from him like before. Otherwise, he would have to seal it and put it together with the heavenly fate misfortune pearl. "Woof!" Little Wong barked softly and followed him quietly. It followed Jiang Hao's lead. Jiang Hao didn't mind. He changed Little Wong's appearance. It turned into a black and white puppy. In order to make it more powerful, he made it bigger. There was no problem with it. Maybe Shaoli wouldn't recognize it. Then, he went to Hong Yui's door and knocked. There was no response. After hesitating for a moment, he opened the door and entered. She was resting her head on her chin. Her eyes were closed. "Senior," Jiang Hao called out. There was no response. "Senior, are you asleep?" Jiang Hao strode in. Perhaps he could try to appraise her. Just as he was about to use his divine ability, she suddenly said, "Go buy some food." Jiang Hao was startled. He quickly bowed and left. As soon as he left the inn, Jiang Hao heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that he couldn't appraise her yet. After that, he began to look for a place to buy some food. Because he had left in a hurry, he had forgotten to ask Hong Yuye if she wanted anything particular to eat. He had no choice but to buy whatever he could. On the busy streets, there were numerous cultivators and ordinary people. Many of the vendors and shops sold things that ordinary people needed. It seemed that there were many ordinary non-cultivators in this city. Sesame seed cakes. Buy some sesame seed cakes, shouted a voice. How much is the sesame seed cake? Jiang Hao asked as he walked to the stall. 3 copper coins. Do you want one, young man? Asked the stall owner with a smile. Daddy, I'm going to need the dough for you, said a little girl. She was around 5 years of age. She picked up a ball of dough. The stall owner instructed her to knead it gently. Jiang Hao nodded slowly. We want 3 of those too, said a voice behind him. Jiang Hao turned and saw Tanya, followed by Mr. Tao and Zhu. They were here. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 976. Why are you looking at me? A river flowed into the sea by the side of the street. The banks of the river were paved with pebbles. They formed into 2 paths. There were pavilions everywhere. These are so good. I should buy another one, Tanya said while eating the sesame seed cake in the pavilion. Mr. Tao handed her the sesame seed cake that he had not eaten yet. She did not refuse. Jiang Hao felt that they were close. He looked at little Wang, tore off some sesame seed cakes, and tossed it to the creature. Woof! Little Wang was delighted. Fellow disciple, your pet is quite extraordinary, Mr. Tao said. The pet seemed to have a twisted aura. It was a bit troublesome. Someone gave it to me, Jiang Hao said with a smile. It was indeed a gift from Madame Gong. However, he had given it to Shaoli. Shaoli liked little Wang very much, especially because it didn't snatch her food. She just fed it plants and flowers. We're here to look for you, said Tanya, as she finished the cake. We want to make a deal with you. Jiang Hao wasn't surprised. Mr. Tao laughed. The 2 of them had made a deal once before. Since he had used Tang Ya's bell, she must have known about his arrival. It was normal for her to find him. He had not expected her to come looking for him. He remembered that Tang, you didn't like to talk in riddles. He didn't like it either, but it wasn't easy to establish Jing's image any other way. It was less mysterious when he said things as they were. It made everything sound dull and ordinary. Are you going to the Dragon Cave? Tanya asked. Jiang Hao nodded. Do you have any information? Yes, but which one do you want? Tanya asked. Do you want to know about the people involved or the situation inside? Or who is the safest to go in with? Who is the safest person to go in with? Jiang Hao was curious. 2 people, said Tanya. Either someone from the end of all things or someone from the Saint Bandits. It is said that these people have a certain ability to avoid the traps of the Great Thousand God sect. Jiang Hao nodded. Then he asked, Then, who are the people who are planning to go in? You're not sincere, said Tanya and reached out her hand. 5,000 spirit stones for one question. You already asked one. Jiang Hao was speechless. He had asked the question before she laid out such terms. But they did have accurate information. After paying 10,000, Jiang Hao got the answer to his second question. The 12 heavenly kings won't go, but the others will. Most will be in the Immortal Ascension platform. There are some who you need to look out for. One of them is Gu Zhen from the End of All Things. Another one is Dong Dingwei of the 3 Rivers race. Also, Nangong Wan of the Heavenly Spirit tribe. These 3 people are in the Immortal Ascension platform. The reason why you need to be careful is that there's a force supporting them from behind. There are many other experts too. I have detailed them all in this book. You could take a look. Tanya handed over a book. Jiang Hao was a little surprised. It was surprising to find so much information. Paying 5,000 for information was not a waste when it came to Tanya. Even though they know it is a trap, there are still quite a number of people who want to go in. Jiang Hao laughed. That's right. They all think that they are the chosen ones, and that fate is on their side. It also means that those who enter are either fools or extremely powerful people, Tanya said. Jiang Hao nodded. That made sense. Many people already knew about the Great Thousand God sect's trap. If he still went in, he naturally would be someone who had some trick up his sleeve. After flipping through the book for a while, he realized that there were people from the Great Thousand God sect detailed there. Saw the Great Thousand God sect in there. Tanya asked, The Great Thousand God sect, is huge. Not everyone knows about the trap. It is normal for some to enter. They might not know that it is a trap or might have arranged something beforehand. In short, the people of the Great Thousand Gods sect might be monitored. This might be part of the plan. Jiang Hao understood. He put away the book. Only primordial spirits can enter the dragon cave. Won't these people be exposed? Fellow disciple, there's no need to worry, said Zhu Shun and smiled. There are countless spatial cracks around the dragon cave. It is said that once someone enters, the spatial cracks will be sealed. As long as the people in the spatial cracks do not fight with each other, it will be difficult for outsiders to approach. A crack? Jiang Hao's cultivation realm wasn't bad, but he didn't understand what was going on in the dragon cave. He didn't ask further, but he wasn't in a hurry to leave. After all, he hadn't bought anything for Hong Yuye yet. He asked them if they knew any place that sold delicious food. Mr. Tao knew a lot of places. He recommended a few off the top of his head. Tang also knew a lot of places, but she was not interested in talking. Instead, she held a wooden bead and studied it. It seemed like she was trying to open it. Jiang Hao glanced at the wooden bead and noticed that there were some runes on it. It was similar to the inheritance rune that Senior Sister Long had given him previously. This is a gift from the 12 heavenly kings. It said that there's a treasure inside, but I haven't been able to open it, Mr. Tao said. Jiang Hao chuckled and didn't pay much attention to it. After that, he asked some questions about the place and got up to leave. It was getting late. Before he left, he kindly reminded Tang Yu of something. You could try drawing a 10,000 swords talisman on it. Then Jiang Hao smiled and left. Tang Yu was confused, but she drew a 10,000 swords talisman on the bead. The moment the talisman was complete, the wooden bead floated up and emitted a bright light. Tang Yu was stunned. Never in her life would she have thought of using that talisman. Jiang Hao had not known about it either. He had just appraised it to find out. The dragon cave would open in about 5 days. He had to prepare. Of course, he had to buy some food first. Under the setting sun, Jiang Hao walked by the river. The light cast a long shadow, and the big black and white dog followed behind him. Occasionally, it would eat the weeds by the river. When it saw other dogs pee, it peed as well. When it saw other dogs eating poop, it looked at Jiang Hao. Why are you looking at me? Jiang Hao was speechless. He obviously did not let it eat shit. In the south, Baizhu knelt in front of her ancestors' graves and paid her respects in the imperial city. In order to enter the ancestral hall, she begged her eldest brother for his permission. Only then did he let her in. As a princess without any status, it was not easy to enter this place. Luckily, her elder brother still doted on her. He helped her whenever she needed it. Ancestors, please bless us. It wasn't easy for the imperial family to produce a genius like me. However, geniuses also need love. I'm still young. I'm just 18 years old. I can't go through too many adversities. I hope that you, my ancestors, can help me with it. I know I haven't always been very devoted to my family, but I still rely on you, my ancestors. Baizhu bowed and prayed. When she finished her prayer, the ground suddenly shook. Half of the ancestral tablets fell to the ground. Baizhu was dumbfounded. She muttered to herself, "It's okay. It's okay. There are still half of the ancestral tablets left. It's enough if a few of them support me." Boom! A huge explosion sounded outside, and the earth shook. The last half of the tablets fell. Baizhu was speechless. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 977. Something bad always happens when royal sister visits by Zhu left the ancestral hall. She sighed wearily. Before she left, she picked up the ancestral tablets and placed them in their original places. She hoped that her ancestors would remember her. However, she was sure something must have happened outside. Otherwise, there wouldn't be such a commotion. When she walked out, she found that it was some of the remaining members of the Shangwan family who wanted to kill her. Above the imperial city, the Shangwan family in the imperial city was not the same as the Shangwan clan from the sea. If it was the clan, it would be difficult to take them down. After all, The other party had a long heritage and all kinds of methods that were unheard of. If they did not take down the royal family within 3 months, they might not be able to do it ever again. Boom! The ground shook. Baiju wondered if the ancestral tablets had fallen again. Princess! Xiao! He ran over to her. Are you all right? I'm fine. Baiju nodded. Then, she followed Xiao Yi and left the ancestral hall to prevent the shock waves from spreading. As soon as they reached a safe place, they realized that there were other princesses there. All of them stepped back a little when they saw Baiju. It was rare to see her here. Baiju looked at the little girl and was surprised. This little girl is my sister too? She had only been away for a few years, and suddenly, she had a new sister. She was so little. Then, she looked at the two maids beside her. Both of them were at the Soul Ascension realm. That meant that this little girl was very important. Royal sister, you better not get too close to her, said Shui. She's a genius born into the royal family. Father said so. If you hurt her, you'll regret it. Baiju looked at her and smiled. Sister Shui, you were in your 30s when I left. Are you in your 40s now? When Shui's face stiffened. Well, you are around 400 years old, aren't you? No, I'm only 18, Baiju said with a smile. Then, she looked at the little girl. The number one genius of the royal family? It was over. Her status had been taken away. The number one genius of the royal family was suddenly someone else. Xiao, he stood at the back. She felt strange. In the past, the princess had always said that she was the number one genius of the imperial family. But she had met another genius. It was a little strange. Baiju wanted to say something, but she suddenly felt a little dizzy. Then, something strange happened. Something bad was going to happen. Gu Changsheng was sending her a warning. But what was the danger? She lamented the fact that danger followed her everywhere. Unfortunately, she couldn't meet Gu Changsheng for 3 months, so she couldn't ask him. She still had to wait. Royal sister, why is it that whenever you come for a visit, something bad happens to the royal family? Said another princess. Baiju was speechless. At Color Glass Island, Jiang Hao sat across from Hong Yuye and used the tea set he had brought with him to brew some tea that Sita Wudao had given him. This tea was quite impressive. It was even better than September spring. Unfortunately, the quantity was too little. He had asked Mr. Tao about it, and he had told Jiang Hao that it only appeared once every 10 years. Only a few could obtain it. I can't afford it. He would have to go to an extraordinary place to get tea like this. He would also need extraordinary luck. He poured a cup for Hong Yuye and placed the pastries he had bought on the table. These were all recommended by Mr. Tao. The master of the Heavenly Tower would not beat around the bush. The people of the Heavenly Tower seemed to have information about all sorts of things. Senior, please try these. Jiang Hao pushed the bowl of pastries over to her. He had bought a bit of every kind. Hong Yuye took a sip of tea. She looked surprised. It seemed that she was satisfied with the tea. Jiang Hao heaved a sigh of relief. She then tried a pastry. There was nothing special about it. It tasted all right. Jiang Hao didn't do much in the few days that he was there. He walked around Color Glass Island to check on things and ask around. Little Wang followed him. The creature usually discovered things with strong spiritual energy. Most of them were magic treasures and spirit pets. Jiang Hao observed the people on the streets and found the people Tang you had mentioned. Gu Zhen of the end of all things wore a robe and held a bamboo tube. It seemed that he used the bamboo tube to predict good or bad luck for others. He had seen Gu Zhen twice in the streets. He always seemed to be reading fortune for someone. His cultivation level was at the peak of the Immortal Ascension platform, just like Jiang Hao. Dong Dingwei of the Three Rivers race was a middle-aged man in the early stage of the Immortal Ascension platform. He was very powerful. He was always alone and often was drinking. Nangong Wan of the Heavenly Spirit tribe looked friendly. She was almost always talking and laughing with others. After a quick appraisal, he found out that she had another type of soul, which was extremely powerful and had a special origin. When she encountered danger, the second soul would come out to assist her. The power of this second soul was unpredictable. Other than these people, there were many others who had come to Color Glass Island. Every one of them was waiting for the Dragon Cave to open. Jiang Hao also went to the Dragon Cave and didn't see any traps from the Great Thousand God sect. From the looks of it, the other party's methods were subtle. Around mid-October, a dragon's roar shook the surroundings. The dragon's soul surged and materialized into a pearl that contained endless power. It disappeared into a crack at the bottom of the sea. Jiang Hao stood by the sea and saw everything. He knew that the pearl was bait to attract powerful people. He could also feel that the moment the dragon cave opened, many things would erupt from the bottom of the sea. There might be quite a few good things among them. However, for some reason, Little Wang growled and positioned itself like it wanted to leap at something. Is that the trap? Jiang Hao held the folding fan in his hand. At that moment, Hong Ye, Nan Gongyu, and Nan Gonghua were by his side. In just 2 days, the two of them had gathered enough information about the Heavenly Spirit Tribe. It was said that the Heavenly Spirit Tribe was also searching for their ancestral land, and the search was being led by a person named Tong Wu. The other party's strength was just okay, but his ability to find things was extraordinary. It wouldn't take long for them to find the place. The Saint Bandits were already keeping an eye on him. If he found the land, the Saint Bandits would know in an instant. Their people had already begun to gather. As long as Smiling Sansheng was willing, they would come out in full force to take down the ancestral land and the divine item. The only condition was to find the rest of the Saint Bandits in the Dragon Cave. Jiang Hao sighed. Everything happened so fast. They were waiting for his signal. They were willing to work with him if he did something in exchange for them. It wasn't entirely bad. The other party was willing to listen to him. After all, he would be the one to make the call regarding the ancestral land in the end. If the people from the Fallen Immortal Clan and Heavenly Saint Sect also got involved, it would be great for him. According to our information, this is it. Although we don't know why the Great Thousand God Sect planned this, their methods are impeccable. We can't even find evidence to prove that the trap is set up by the Great Thousand God Sect, said Nangongyu. Use your little spell, Hong Yuye suddenly said to Jiang Hao. Jiang Hao understood that she was talking about the art of reversal that Hai Luo had taught him. The moment the spell was activated, Jiang Hao's eyes changed. Soon, the entire sea area changed. Countless invisible spirits erupted. Everyone who approached the area to snatch would be infected with the spirit of the greater world. He couldn't help but sigh. King Hai Luo was truly extraordinary. Others might not even be able to sense the existence of the spirit of the greater world, but Heavenly King Hai Luo could see it. This kind of ability was befitting of a heavenly king. The fact that the Great Thousand God Sect dared to do something like this meant that they were confident they could hide it from anyone. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 978. I make my own destiny, woof. Woof, woof. Little Wang barked. Jiang Hao knew what it wanted. It had seen something that it could eat. Suddenly, a rock flew over. Little Wang immediately jumped up and bit the stone. After chewing it twice, it handed the stone to Jiang Hao. Don't touch it, Nangongyu quickly said. Those things must have been tampered with by the Great Thousand God Sect. It's better not to touch these things. Jiang Hao closed his folding fan and didn't care about what the other party said. He reached out and took the stone. When the stone flew over, there was indeed a trace of the spirit of the greater world surrounding it. However, after Little Wang bit it twice, the trace disappeared. It was eaten clean. The stone was no longer dangerous. It was indeed a good idea to bring Little Wang along. As long as they couldn't come across any dragons, it was not afraid of anything. Jiang Hao realized that the stone was an ore. Moreover, it was a very impressive ore. This is the Star Moon Stone. It's a good material for forging magic robes, Nangonghua said. He could find a place to sell it along the way. If he could sell it right away, it would be even better. He could save up to 250,000 and then upgrade his Mountain Sea seal. That was much safer. Seeing Smiling Sansheng put away the item, Nangongyu hesitated for a moment but didn't say anything. The other party was an unpredictable person. If she said too much, it would only invite trouble. Since that was the case, it was better to take it one step at a time. At that moment, many people were heading in the direction of the dragon cave. Among them, Dong Dingyue was the fastest, followed by Nangong Wan. Jiang Hao walked at his own pace. Hong Ye followed beside him, and Little Wang went around eating anything it could find. It ate whatever it could find without reservation. Jiang Hao didn't mind. It didn't matter even if he was discovered. He was smiling Sansheng in this place. He was fearless and unrestrained. Other than the people from the Great Thousand God sect, no one could dare to point their finger at Little Wang. Nangonghua looked at Jiang Hao. He didn't seem anxious at all. She felt helpless. This person didn't seem to care for anything at all. She hoped that nothing unexpected would happen after he entered the dragon cave. At that moment, a man in a long robe walked alongside them. He had a bamboo tube in his hand. "Fellow disciple, do you want your fortune read?" Gu Zhen asked Jiang Hao. "You know me?" Jiang Hao asked curiously. Smiling Sansheng. "How can I not know you?" Gu Zhen said with a smile as he held the bamboo tube in his hand. He seemed to have come over to strike up a conversation. "How do you read a fortune?" Smiling Sansheng asked. Gu Zhen handed him the bamboo tube. "Shake it a few times and see what comes out. If you need my help, I will be willing and able." Jiang Hao took the bamboo tube and shook it a few times. A crisp sound rang out. The sound was quite pleasant. However, he could feel that this bamboo tube was not simple. It contained mysterious runes that made it impossible to understand its true intent. "Shake it a few more times," Gu Zhen said. Jiang Hao shook it a few more times. Suddenly, a bamboo stick fell out and floated in front of him. Everyone looked at it curiously. They saw the words "Great Fury" written on it. Nangong Yu and the others were shocked. "Great calamity, but I can help," said Gu Zhen with a sigh. Before he could finish, smiling Sansheng took the bamboo stick and threw it into the sea. The bamboo tube continued to shake. A few breaths later, a new bamboo stick fell out and floated in front of him. This time, the bamboo stick had the word "good luck" written on it. "Oh, I got good luck." Jiang Hao smiled and took the bamboo stick. Then, he returned the bamboo tube to Gu Zhen. "That is the second lot. It doesn't count." Gu Zhen frowned. Jiang Hao chuckled. Then, he slowly placed the bamboo stick into the bamboo tube and returned it to Gu Zhen. As expected, fate is in your own hands. Gu Zhen was stunned. Jiang Hao opened his folding fan, and the words "unparalleled in the world" flashed. Then, he walked ahead and laughed. "Remember that next time. I'm smiling Sansheng. I make my own destiny." He was arrogant. Nangong Yu was dumbfounded. This person, it was unbelievable. They felt strange looking at him. He was unreachable. Hong Yui's face didn't change. She just walked ahead with him. In the distance, on the ship, Situ Wudao watched everything inside. Everything has been settled. It's impossible to interfere anymore. I can only wait and see if I get a scarlet feather divine pill in my life. I hope that I'm not inviting trouble for myself. Situ Wudao had no choice but to take this gamble. He couldn't enter the dragon cave himself. Otherwise, he would have gone. As for the Great Thousand God sect, their methods were impeccable. The people who went in would probably end up dead. On the shore, Mr. Tao also heaved a sigh of relief. This time, anything can happen. He needed to keep an eye on them to prevent any accidents from happening. Once it happened, it seemed that he was helpless. He could only make sufficient preparations and see how it turned out. Tangya continued to draw talismans on the white bead. "Why can't I open it? I've drawn all the talismans I know, but I can't open it at all." Tangya didn't understand what she was doing wrong. Before, the 10,000 swords talisman had worked. She had tried all kinds of talismans. This bead was from the same set, so it should open with a talisman too. Under the deep sea, Jiang Hao took Hong Yuye along. Little Wang swam in the water happily. Nangong Yu and the old woman, Nangong Hua, were out of the daze. The most important thing now was to enter the dragon cave. It made them a little concerned. Although smiling Sansheng didn't care, the others really wanted to know where the greater danger was. It was better to be on guard. However, the other party did not have any intention of finding out. They also wanted to know if smiling Sansheng cared about anything at all. Entering the dragon cave was bound to be dangerous, but it did not mean anything to him. No matter where he was, it was always dangerous. This was not any different. After leaving the Heavenly Notes sect, he was in danger everywhere. He was always cautious. Regardless of whether it was good or bad, he did what needed to be done. He was always careful and tried hard to survive. Soon, some cracks began to appear, and one could see the crimson red inside each of them, as if lava was burning inside. Fellow disciple, smiling, Sansheng. We need to go our separate ways from here. I hope you can wait for us after we enter the dragon cave. We'll be there soon, the old woman said. Jiang Hao smiled and nodded. Then, he brought Hong Yuye along into the crack. Little Wang also entered with him. Jiang Hao sensed the high temperature. It seemed like there really was earth fire in there. He observed the surroundings carefully and found that they were all rocks, and they were sealed. He tried to use force, but it really couldn't be broken. Will you still fight against fate? Hong Yuye suddenly asked. Jiang Hao was stunned. He didn't expect her to ask such a question. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 979. The place where the dragon lives. Jiang Hao thought for a moment. Was my destiny? He thought about it and shook his head. Senior, you misunderstand. I don't want to fight against fate or destiny. I just want to survive. There have been many twists and turns in my life, but I've been working hard to live a good life, said Jiang Hao. He wondered if that was considered fighting against fate. No one had a smooth life. Everyone struggled. It was part of life. It was easy to lose everything in an instant. In order to protect what he had, he naturally had to face it, resist, and go against fate if he had to. You threw away the bamboo stick because you were smiling, Sansheng? A table and chairs appeared beside Hong Yuye. She sat down. Senior, you're correct as always, said Jiang Hao. What if you weren't really smiling, Sansheng, but yourself? Hong Yuye looked at him. Jiang Hao lowered his head and thought for a long time. Then I would have put the bamboo stick back in the tube. And then, Hong Yuye asked, then he'll continue to enter the dragon cave to do things for you, Senior. Jiang Hao said calmly. You're not worried? Hong Yuye asked. You can't trust people when you're outside. It's always good to be careful. The reason I have come this far is that I've always remained careful and prepared beforehand. A bamboo tube can't change that, said Jiang Hao. How old are you this year? Hong Yuye suddenly asked. 40, Jiang Hao said. You're not young anymore. Hong Yuye lowered her head and did not speak again. Jiang Hao indeed felt that he wasn't young anymore. He was way past his 20s and 30s. He could no longer be young and impulsive. He had never been reckless, but it was even more apparent that he could not do that. He checked his surroundings. Everything was indeed sealed. The entrance was also completely closed to the outside. They could enter the dragon cave. He wanted to see what was going on inside. But how could he enter? Jiang Hao tried to sense his surroundings, and he instantly felt like he was being sucked in. He looked at Hong Yuye. Senior, do you want to go in now? The other party just looked at him without saying anything. It seemed like he had to make his own decision. He decided to find a way in. After getting Little Wang to follow him, Jiang Hao let the surrounding primordial spirits be sucked away. At that moment, his armor activated. It was the Nine Heavens battle armor. He had modified it a bit. He was also wearing a storage ring because he could not take a normal storage treasure inside. When others entered, they too took treasures like that. Jiang Hao felt like he was headed to the depths of the sea. It was as if he was isolated from the entire world. It was like entering the corpse realm all over again. Woof! Woof! Little Wang barked. Jiang Hao turned and realized that Little Wang had arrived near him very quickly. Behind it was Hong Yuye. Nothing fazed her. It was exactly the same as what he saw outside. It was impossible to tell where they were. Soon, a light appeared below and covered them. Then he stopped descending. When the light covered everything, Jiang Hao felt like he had landed on the ground. He could smell fresh grass. Everything around him felt clearer. He was in a large grassland. In the distance, there were hundreds of flowers blooming and a river. White clouds piled up in the sky. and the sun shone for thousands of miles. This is the Dragon Cave? Jiang Hao was surprised. He had thought that it would be an actual cave. He did not expect it to be a beautiful land with mountains and rivers. How do you think dragons live? Hong Yuye asked. A gentle breeze swayed her hair. At that moment, she walked to Jiang Hao's side and looked into the distance. Senior, have you been here before? Jiang Hao saw a mountain in front of him with some buildings. He wondered if people were living there. There was nothing wrong with everything here. It was normal for people to live here. He might even encounter a dragon. Hong Yuye shook her head slightly. Woof! Woof! Little Wang suddenly cried out. A faint light flashed in Jiang Hao's eyes. He activated the art of reversal and saw that the mountain was surrounded by the spirit of the greater world. The spirit of the greater world looked different from what it was outside. It had various forms like livestock, humans, and beasts. It was as if it could enter a person's body at any time. However, these spirits were too numerous, and they would be discovered if they were not careful. The real danger was on the ground and in the air. Countless ant-like spirits were crawling on the ground. There were also wisps of the greater world's consciousness that were swaying in the sky. Although he did not know what the Great Thousand God sect was up to, he knew that once these things entered his body, they would devour him. Little Wang looked at Jiang Hao as if it wanted to run and eat everything. Maybe on the way, Jiang Hao said calmly. It might be rude to let little Wang run around and eat as it pleased. It would not do to let it run amok. Little Wang did not have any objections. It looked around for ant-like spirits to eat. Jiang Hao closed his eyes and began to sense the spirit of the greater world. He wanted to see if he could sense it clearly. It was a pity that there was only a faint trace of it. He had to admit that the Great Thousand God sect's methods were impeccable. If this thing was used on a large scale, very few could fight it. Out of curiosity, he asked Hong Yuye about it. It's not as bad as you think. There's something special hidden in the Dragon Cave. It's being used by the Great Thousand God sect, which is why it's so difficult to detect, Hong Yuye said. Special item? Jiang Hao was a little curious. What kind of special item could make the Great Thousand God sect so powerful? If it was not for the art of reversal, he would not have been able to detect it. He had the Heaven Lock technique, the Nameless Manual, and a lot of spiritual power. Even so, it was difficult to detect such power. What would the Great Thousand God sect do with such a treasure? If there was a chance, he could go and take a look at the treasure. After waiting for a while, Nangong Yu and Nangong Hua finally arrived. I'm very sorry. We encountered some problems and were late, the old woman said. Do you know the way? Jiang Hao asked. He had not given them his location, but they had found him anyway. They must have some understanding of this place. I know a little, said Nangong Hua. They had made a deal to help each other out. Without that, they all would be lost. Jiang Hao nodded and didn't ask anything further. When they had come over, the spirit of the greater world around them automatically separated. Jiang Hao was unsure if that happened with only the Saint Bandits or everyone. Where are we going? Jiang Hao asked. He had just tested it on his dragon scales. The road was above the river, not on the mountain. Let's go up the mountain and send a visiting card first. It'll be much easier to walk from there, the old woman said. Jiang Hao nodded. They were polite. This was not bad. However, when Jiang Hao looked up at the mountain, he did not think the place was peaceful. Many people had already arrived. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 980. Smiling Sansheng can't be left behind at the top of the mountain. Jiang Hao saw that many people had already gathered there. They were all pacing back and forth in front of the Dragon Temple. Jiang Hao recognized the three people he had seen before. Three Rivers Race's Dong Dingwei was at the early stage of the Immortal Ascension platform. At that moment, he stood in front of the temple and looked inside without taking a step further. Some of the people behind him frowned. Fellow disciple, if you don't want to go in, why don't you let us go first? Asked a middle-aged man. Dong Dingwei turned his head and glanced at the other party. He then moved aside without saying a word. At that moment, the middle-aged man walked in quickly. The others followed him in. They wanted to see what was in the dragon temple. Jianghao took a closer look and found that the temple was just ordinary. 2 dragons were carved on the stone pillars around it. There was no plaque above it. It looked like a dragon temple, but in fact, one had to go in to be sure. "Let's go in and send the invitation card," Nangonyu said. Jianghao didn't pay any attention to her. Instead, he walked toward Dong Dingwei. There was a strange power to this person. Perhaps he could gain something from talking to him. The other party felt someone approaching him and turned to look. Jianghao smiled. "Fellow disciple Dong." Smiling, San Sheng. Dong Dingwei said, "Fellow disciple, why aren't you going in?" Jianghao asked. Neither of them cared that they knew each other's names. "Why aren't you going in?" Dong Dingwei asked. "It's impolite to enter without invitation." Jianghao opened his fan. Dong Dingwei was a little surprised. "I'm surprised that you care about being polite, fellow disciple." "Then, why aren't you going in?" Jianghao asked. "I asked for an invitation, but they didn't respond, so I didn't go in," Dong Dingwei said truthfully. Jianghao looked at him with admiration. "Fellow disciple, you're really different from the others. Why don't we go in together and ask again?" Nangonyu and Nangonghua felt helpless. They could help, but this person didn't seem to care. Why did he have to bring this extremely dangerous person along? Dong Dingwei agreed. The 2 of them walked toward the temple entrance. "After you, fellow disciple," Dong Dingwei said. Jianghao didn't care about formalities. He closed his folding fan and bowed respectfully. "Thank you, senior." At the foot of the mountain, 2 people walked out of the thatched hut. They looked at the top of the mountain and smiled. They should have sent their greetings to the dragon temple, right? The woman in the blue dress sneered. "We were the ones who spread the news secretly. If we go in for a visit, our perception will be contaminated by the spirit of the greater world. That dragon temple isn't ordinary. No matter how strong these people's senses are, it'll be difficult for them to detect it. Perhaps they just feel that the dragon temple is too special and have no choice but to enter." The middle-aged man laughed. The news of the trap had spread. It had been out of their control. However, the other rumors were their doing. They knew how to avoid the trap. One way was to send a visiting card. When the people of the Great Thousand God sect arrived, they realized that there was a place to acquire a visiting card. The best way to enter was to send a visiting card. If they walked in directly, they would encounter many problems. It was much safer to send a visiting card. After some research, they found that visiting posts could be responded to. At that time, a dragon's roar would shake the world. But that had never happened before. "I've never seen a response from the dragon cave. I don't know what it is exactly." The woman in the blue dress sighed. "First, there'll be a dragon's roar. Then, there'll be a multicolored light." Before the middle-aged man could finish, the ground suddenly trembled. "What's happening?" The 2 of them were surprised. They heard a deafening dragon's roar. Roar! A dragon's roar pierced through the clouds. The phantom of a true dragon hovered in the sky. Scarlet light descended from the sky and enveloped the mountain. The roars of the true dragon were endless. It was as if they were welcoming someone. The 2 men from the Great Thousand God sect stood rooted to the ground in disbelief. What's happening? Who is it? Their hearts raced. This was a deviation from their plan. At that moment, a beam of light fell on Jianghao from the top of the mountain. He remained calm and collected. A door seemed to be opening in front of him. It was waiting for him to enter. Dong Dingwei was stunned. Nangonyu and Nangonghua were even more shocked. This was something they had not expected at all. Why would such a thing happen? Little Wang, who was still happily eating, lay on the ground and let out a terrified whine. In fact, they weren't the only ones who were surprised. Jianghao was also perplexed. He didn't expect such a thing to happen. He had just relied on smiling San Sheng's identity. Who would have thought that it would cause such a change? It should be because of the Archean Abyss Dragon Pearl. Of course, no matter what the reason was, he had to be calm and composed. Everything was as he had expected. "Fellow disciple Dong, please, after you." Jianghao gestured to him. The light enveloped Dong Dingwei and the people behind him. A few of them walked inside. "Fellow disciple, please wait," said a voice from behind. Jianghao glanced behind him, but didn't pay much attention to the two members of the Great Thousand God sect. We are members of the Great Thousand God sect. We can help you, shouted the middle-aged man. Jiang Hao chuckled, but did not enter yet. The woman in the blue dress followed them. Fellow disciple, this is a trap set up by the Great Thousand God sect. If you go in rashly, your life will be in danger. You are not our match here. Well, I, smiling Sansheng, will be the judge of that, said Jiang Hao and laughed. Smiling Sansheng and the others disappeared into the light. The middle-aged man landed on the ground, but he was a step too late. Smiling Sansheng? He lowered his head and thought. Hell spread the news. We must find Smiling Sansheng. He seems to have come prepared. It's extremely dangerous. If we can cut a deal with him, that's great. If not, we can't stay here anymore. After Jiang Hao and the others entered, they arrived in a large hall. The place was located in the mountains. However, unlike the outside world, this place looked desolate. Nan Gongyu and the others were a loss. They did not know where they were. Dong Dinghua looked at Jiang Hao with some doubt. Don't look at me. I don't know either. He only sensed the Archean Abyss Dragon Pearl, but did not find anything unusual. So, you had a plan from the very beginning. We're sorry we embarrassed ourselves earlier, fellow disciple. Nangong Hua and Nangong Yu lowered their heads. Saint Bandits? Before Jiang Hao could say anything, a curious voice asked. The few of them turned to look and saw an old man who had unknowingly arrived in the empty hall. Senior, who are you? Nangong Hua frowned. The old man looked at Nangong Yu and the others in confusion. I didn't expect even the Saint Bandits to be here. How surprising. Then he looked at Jiang Hao. Are you human? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.